immediately to establish the full truth and mete out accountability where warranted.
At the same time, senior officials like the municipality's chief financial officer Gareth Mnisi and the city's Metro Police Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini have also been implicated in a number of wrongdoings. The DA Celia Brink has called on the Metro's leadership to be proactive.
The city cannot wait for Mnisi to testify under oath before the commission, and City Manager Johan Metler must immediately launch an investigation authorized by the Municipal Council. Tshwane residents deserve a government that protects public money, not one that fights over who gets to loot it.
Cape Town police have come under fire from a family of a teenager who was shot dead in Drift Sands, accusing officers of delaying the investigation into his murder. 19-year-old Lita Govuza and his friend were shot by alleged extortionists while waiting for their order at a spaza shop in the area last month. Police say a person of interest who may help solve the case has been identified. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
Lita Govuza's sister, Kanya Govuza, is not convinced police are serious about solving her brother's murder.
They're only releasing a statement in March for an incident that happened in February. The police are failing us.
His uncle, Ayanda Govuza, says the family has been living in fear since the incident.
We don't even know what's going to happen to us after this interview. We're not safe. These people can come back and kick down the doors here. Where will the police be?
Ndutuzalo Nene, Eyewitness News.
Trade Minister Parks Dau has assured Parliament that systems are in place to prevent a fuel shortage as a result of the ongoing US and Iran conflict. Dau says South Africa is working on easing the pressure on its consumers. He participated in a debate of national public importance on the conflict in Parliament yesterday. Babalondenza reports.
BOSA leader Mmusi Maimane sponsored yesterday's debate on the ongoing crisis in the Middle East following the recent US attack on Iran and the implications this has on South Africa. He said the conflict will not remain confined to the Middle East and will travel through energy markets, through supply chains, and into the daily lives of South Africans. But Minister Parks Dau said the country has put in place contingencies to ease the impact on South Africa in terms of fuel supply.
Honorable members, government has put in place systems to prevent a fuel shortage. Minister Mantashe and his department have acted decisively to secure alternative sources of fuel and provide security of supply. The Strategic Fuel Fund remains intact and available.
Dau said alternative supply is underway, but the reality is that the price of fuel is rising and no country can avoid it. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Meanwhile, strikes continue across the Middle East 3 weeks into a war started by the US and Israel on Iran that's having a devastating impact across the world. In the latest development, Iran launched multiple rounds of missiles towards Israel late Thursday after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared Tehran has been decimated by the war. Netanyahu told the news conference that the US and Israel is winning.
Since the start of the war 20 days ago, we are winning and Iran is being decimated. Iran's missile and drone arsenal is being massively degraded and will be destroyed.
Air defenses in the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait say they have been responding to missile attacks. Elsewhere in the Gulf, Bahrain's Interior Ministry says air raid sirens were activated, and Saudi Arabia's Defense Ministry says it intercepted a drone in the country's east. Qatar says this week's Iranian attacks on the country's energy installations could take 3 to 5 years to repair. University students in Doha's education city say they have been ordered to evacuate due to latest strikes.
It's like getting kicked out of your home at 2 a.m. in the morning and not knowing where you were going. We were only given that information later on throughout the night.
Unprecedented times. We didn't see this coming, obviously, and me being here as an international student, it obviously shook me.
I really miss my friends and I want to be back at university. It was a part of my routine to get up every single day, like very early in the morning, drive into uni and stay there for the whole day.
It's really hard to tell what's going to happen and how long this is going to take, especially like for a major like mine. That kind of worries me because we do a lot of practical hands-on work.
Gold is trading at $4,648.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.71 to the dollar, 22.48 to the pound, 19.39 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $106.44 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 South leaving Lindbro Park. This is due to roadworks that are taking place, causing delays between Marlborough Drive and Vincent Chabalala Road. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. This is just as you approach the Geldenhuys interchange, also due to roadworks right near the Geldenhuys turnoff. Please be on the lookout.
And in your sports, South African-made Southern Guards are leading the team standings at Live Golf South Africa. Hugo Bruce names his Bafana squad for international break, while the Proteas women have posted a 150 target in the third T20 against New Zealand, and English sides Villa, Forest and Palace all through to European quarterfinals.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng with showers expected. Johannesburg starting at 17 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 18 and 29. Vereeniging 17 and 28. The top story in EWN this hour. Action SA Councillor Kolofelo Morodi is the first domino to fall as the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry shifts its focus into corruption within the Tshwane municipality.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Breakfast. My name indeed is Bongani Bingwa. Welcome to the show wherever you are listening to us from around 702 land. On our menu today, we look back on the week that was. Politically, the big story, of course, is the ad hoc committee in Parliament wrapping up its public hearings into the alleged infiltration by criminals of our law enforcement. They're going to be deliberating over the next days and weeks and then draft a report which will be debated in the National Assembly. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues its work, and the focus, as you've just heard in Eyewitness News, has turned now to the municipalities. Tshwane officials used elaborate schemes in terms of communicating to try and manipulate tenders. That was the allegation we heard yesterday, and already dominoes beginning to fall as, of course, a councillor, Kolofelo Morodi, has been placed on special leave. Our big interview is going to be about municipalities. Our 8 metros are not functioning as they ought to. Government has come up with a program, a 54 billion rand performance-based scheme. What does it mean and how will it impact residents of our 8 metros? We're speaking to the Director General of the National Treasury. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? Today is International Day of Happiness. We'll speak to Professor Talita Hreiling, the Director of the Center for Wellbeing at the University of Joburg. What makes you happy?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
I'm not alone, of course. As always, there's a team of producers and people working behind the scenes to bring you the show. Ropfiwa Kone is a producer. She is sitting in the booth this morning, taking your calls on 011 883 0702. Alongside her is Bapilile Sambo, taking your voice notes on 072 702 1702. We are streaming, by the way, on our YouTube feed, so you can catch them in the booth as they wave from time to time, and they'll be scurrying about in the studio, bringing pieces of paper, wagging fingers at me, shaking their heads ruefully. We've also got Karabo, who's responsible for social media, and KG will be starting the clock and all sorts behind the scenes. Up front, you'll hear the voices of one Amo Ramila. Good morning, Amo.
Good morning, Bongani. Morning, 702 Landers.
And Buteo Khwarepe.
Morning, Bongs.
I asked the question, what makes you happy? On a scale of 1 to 10, are you happy? We'll be talking about that a little later on in the show. But what makes a lot of people happy on a Friday is this song. A one, 2, 3.
It's a Friday, it's a Friday, it's a Friday.
There we go. All of that out of the way. It is a Friday. We are, of course, in conversation with you throughout the show for the next 3 hours, taking your calls on 011 883 0702, and we will take your WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
10 after 6, as always, a shout out. And I'm going to ask my colleagues now, Muteo and Amo, to weigh in on this. How do you like to receive bad news? And let's use coffee as an analogy, right? If bad news were coffee, how would you take it? Would you take it as a cappuccino with a little frothing, maybe a little frosting? Right, you want a little bit of cream on top, some bubbles, a little bit of bad news, in other words. Do you put sugar or a sweetener? Sugar being the real thing, a sweetener being artificial. Do you want a spin, some little good with the bad? Or do you want it as an espresso? Dark, bleak, and bitter. Right? Not a lot of it, of course, thankfully, right? An espresso comes in a much smaller cup, right? So you want it short, boom, and it's out of the way. Do you want it instant? You want to hear it immediately, give it to me straight, no waiting, don't delay it. If bad news were coffee, a coffee order, Amo, how would you take it?
Americano without sugar.
Ooh, so you want... So Americano is not black, right? It can have milk.
Well, it's best served black.
So you want a lot of it. You want the whole thing.
Yeah.
You want all the details, all the twists and turns. You want it
no
in the big cup.
No cream, no. Yeah, I don't want the sweetness. I just want it black.
As it is.
Mhm.
Mateo?
It depends what mood I'm in. If I'm too vulnerable and don't feel like bad news, I want the froth with the picture on
You
top
want the
made out of
cappuccino.
coffee.
Do you want the bear?
Yeah.
The heart
signal.
the tree. I like the cute teddy bear on the cappuccino.
With the sweetener as well. So yeah.
All right. If your bad news was coffee, how would you take it? Send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. Of course, as always, our shout out is an illustration of something we think you ought to know coming up.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
One of the big stories, of course, developing from yesterday has to do with the war in, I'm going to stop calling it the Middle East, right? Because that's actually a colonial term, because obviously the Middle East is relative to somewhere, right? The Far East being where you might find Japan, right? And China, for example. So the Middle East is relative from a particular point of view. Let's just call it what it is. West Asia, right? It's West Asia. That's what it is. The war in West Asia, or the Middle East, as many people have referred to it. Yesterday, a big development yesterday, as you heard in Eyewitness News just at the top of the hour, Iran launching multiple rounds of missiles towards Israel yesterday. But also, of course, as strikes continued, Israel acting alone, it claims, striking that South Pars gas field in Iran. And there's been some debate about whether or not the Americans knew. Donald Trump, the US president, furious, taking to social media and saying that Israel acted out of anger without consulting them. The United States knew nothing about the attack. Qatar knew nothing about it, didn't know it was going to happen. And, of course, reassuring the public that no more attacks by Israel in that regard will occur. For his part, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu moved to shut down a lot of the speculation, firstly around his death. The internet has been abuzz with whether or not Netanyahu is still alive. People were interpreting videos where he was seen saying that, look at the number of fingers. He's got 6 fingers, not 5. That means that's an AI creation. Benjamin Netanyahu moving to assure people that he is very much alive.
First of all, I just want to say I'm alive, and you're all witnesses. Now that I dispatched this piece of fake news, I want to give you an update on Operation Roaring Lion. Under President Trump's visionary leadership, America and Israel are acting together in Iran with great determination and unprecedented strength.
He also, of course, pushed back against criticism that the Israelis are misleading America as far as all of this. In fact, let's start with another clip. He was speaking to I-24 News journalist. This is a journalist called, ironically, Gaia Israel, who put a series of questions to Prime Minister Netanyahu following those tensions. And of course, as far as that gas facility, he confirms, does Benjamin Netanyahu, that indeed the Americans didn't know about the attack. Have a listen.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Guy Israel, I-24 News. President Trump said today he did not like the Israeli strike on the Iranian gas fields. My question to you, was the president aware of Israel striking that gas field? Did you approve it? And please, if you may, do you see any signs that the Iranian regime is collapsing? And what assurances do you give the Israeli public that if it does stand on its feet, we will not see another wave of a war with Iran in maybe 5 or 10 years?
And then Benjamin Netanyahu answered those questions in this way.
Well, I'll say two things. Fact number one, Israel acted alone against the Slawia gas compound. Fact number two, President Trump asked us to hold off on future attacks, and we're holding out. What do we see? What happens if are there any signs that the Iranian regime is cracking? A lot of signs. A lot of signs. I wish I could divulge all of them, but I see that. But will I tell you, will I commit right now that it's going to collapse? I can tell you that we're working to create the conditions for it to collapse. But it may survive, it may not. If it survives, it'll be a lot weaker. There's no comparison. It'll be at its weakest point.
Right, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu there confirming that the Americans didn't know that they were going to attack that South Paz field. And part of what he says there is that, they don't want to bother the Americans with every little detail. Isn't that about as close an admission then that it is your war? Right? Presumably,
only the person that runs things
says
can do things
we'll
without
make
asking
decisions.
for permission. Yeah.
So even in their denial, have you ever dealt with an official statement, an official position, even within your family, where you're like, hey, what the uncles are saying is not make sure. What the parentals are saying, Mom, Dad, what happened there? And they give you the official explanation, and you go, is not make sure.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
18 after 6. Mateo, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning from you, Bongs, and the 702 landers. Do you have a credit card, and what do you use it for?
Hopefully, most of the time, when I'm behaving like a good boy, for emergency purchases. Otherwise, it sits there and hopefully stays untouched. Hopefully, when I'm a good boy. But I'm not always a good boy.
I don't own one.
Don't see the need for it.
Not
Never
yet,
needed it.
no.
She's smarter than me, eh?
Disciplined.
What do you use it for?
I don't have one.
Oh, both of you. Smarter than me.
702.
Weather.
What conditions can you expect on this Friday? Will you need your credit card? It's a partly cloudy day in Gauteng. Showers are expected later. Temperatures peaking a little higher than we've seen earlier in the week. 28, in fact, is your high for Pretoria and Vereeniging. That's the same for Bombela and Bloemfontein and East London as well. Temperatures in Joburg will peak at 27 degrees. And in Mahikeng, it's 29. Again, we see you, Mahikeng. That's the same high in Durban. Gqeberha has 23 degrees, and Cape Town max is at 22.
Morning, Bongani and the breakfast team. It's a Friday, baby. 7, yeah.
EWN Traffic.
Well, thank you, Seven, for that voice note. Is your name Seven? Or is it just a greeting? No matter. This EWN Traffic brought to you by Ford. Live at your peak in the Ford Everest. Amo who nearly crashed their car thinking, could somebody be named Seven?
Oh, well, they already did, Bongani. On the N1 South in the Nichirina area, we've got an accident. It's right after the Golden Highway. It is causing heavy traffic volume, so please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the N1 North, we've got on Lucas, and that's the reason for the backup coming out of the N12 exit. If you're traveling in Germiston, queuing traffic already on the N3 North between the Elands turn off and Van Buren Road. That's due to roadworks. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
One river crossing, 6 drive modes. In your Ford Everest, it's not a
Challenge, it's a flex. That's peak living in the Ford Everest Platinum from 13,999 per month with 10% deposit required when financed through Ford Credit, a registered financial services and credit provider. Includes our Ford Family Promise with online service booking, so admin is sorted in just a click. 6% variable interest rate, 40% residual, 72 months to pay. Risk profile dependent. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Good morning, Bongs. Sam from the East Rand here. Something that makes me very, very happy is when my partner calls me just because he wants to hear my voice. The smile that spreads across my face. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day.
Good morning, good morning. I like bad news bad. They must be as bad as possible. Like coffee, no sugar, no cream, no milk. This is Lelo from Midrand.
Hi, Bongani. It's Natasha from Edenvale. I would like my bad news in the form of a hazelnut latte. So it's a bit of frothiness and some lovely sweet hazelnut, and obviously the coffee being the bad news is in there. So it comes a little bit sugar coated.
If bad news were coffee, how would you order it is our shout out this morning. I'm loving it. Hazelnut with a bit of frothing, she says. So sweeten it a little. Of course, coffee is never bad, right? We're just making a point here, and we'll explain why we're saying that coming up. And of course, it's International Day of Happiness. We're also asking you on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? And what makes you happy? Let us know.
Good morning. Thank you for mentioning my hikeng. Raleboha. Monate. Have a wonderful day.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
22 after 6 things you need to know at this hour. You heard there that clip I played, Israel saying it indeed acted alone in striking Iran's massive South Pars gas field, hitting military sites. And of course, Tehran has fired back and it hit Qatar and other Gulf energy hubs, and it's pushed global prices up overnight. Speaking at that conference yesterday, Netanyahu said Trump has requested that there be no further attacks by Israel on energy targets, but he insists this was something they did without the US's permission. In the meantime, a furious Donald Trump was writing on his social media platform, Truth Social, that there'll be no more attacks by Israel on these energy sites, but that if the Iranians retaliate, well, he will not hesitate to authorize a level of violence and destruction. And he says, of course, as always, thank you for this, for your attention to this matter. How do you know you're happy? What makes you happy? How do you know you're happy?
It's in the breathing. If I'm having slow, deep breaths, then I'm good. But I can tell when I'm not. It's very shallow breaths and I'm not happy. Something's off.
Amo?
After that one, I don't know what to say, because I was about to say that food makes me happy.
That's a lot of people will agree with that.
Yeah, when I come back home to a cooked meal, or when I finish our shift and there's a nice breakfast waiting for me, that just makes me happy.
Food makes you happy. Fridays make me happy. Fridays make me happy. It's International Day of Happiness. We'll have a conversation about this a little later on. I do want to know, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And is that most of the time? Is there a target that do you consciously aim to be happy? Or is it something that just happens as events overtake you in your life? Gen Z are calling for green days off. This is paid time to get outside. So they want to go into nature, whether it's a forest, a mountain, or sunny beaches. Nearly half of young British Gen Zs, these are young workers, think they should get at least 1 day a month to reconnect with nature. We'll hear more about this story with Adam Gilchrist in The World View. What's the craziest thing you've ever done for love? In Germany, a love-struck 15-year-old stole a bus to be able to pick up his 14-year-old girlfriend for school. He somehow managed to use a master key to access the depot and managed the vehicle apparently like a pro. So they did notice that it was missing, but he didn't cause any accidents. He drove it proficiently, and everyone has been left wondering how he could without being able to drive without a license. That's the story coming out of Germany. And happy birthday to Spike Lee, born on this day in 1957, the filmmaker, writer, producer, and actor who brought many stories of particularly black American life to Hollywood. His breakout hit, She's Gotta Have It, to classics like Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, and of course, A Million Man March. Happy birthday to Spike Lee.
702.
The newspapers.
26 minutes after 6 o'clock. Let's get straight into the newspapers. But before we do, Sfiso Zulu.
Good morning.
If bad news were coffee, how would you take it?
I'd have to say flat white. Just tell me straight up, no drama, no build up. Just tell me what it is. I can take it. Just flat white.
All right, flat white says Sfiso Zulu. Send us a WhatsApp voice note and tell us. All right, so let's take your flat white news.
I'm looking at the Citizen today, Bongani. It's running a story out of Papua New Guinea where villagers on a remote island have been warned not to eat fish until scientists can identify the cause of thousands of deaths of marine creatures and hundreds of cases of illnesses. So about 1,500 villagers will be left without the protein source, and livelihoods by the suspected water poisoning was brought to the attention by some Pacific nations leaders who are ocean campaigners, basically saying that the fish in the water is not safe to consume, it's not safe to eat. But until scientists identify what caused the poisoning of those animals then you can continue eating fish.
Okay, I'm glad we're not in that part of the world, right? The front page of the Business Day, SA slapping heavy tariffs on Chinese structural steel. The front page of the Sowetan, pensioner grant nightmare. A phosphorus man has discovered someone with the same ID number and has been drawing his pension. You've already mentioned the front page of the Citizen, but they've got at least a story from the Citizen, but their front page has a 24-year-old man in much pain for 8 months, that he's in fact in so much pain, he's willing to leave a hospital where he has been admitted. But the story that grabbed my attention is in the Mail and Guardian, and it's a story from a municipality of a new municipal manager, Maluti Apofung. Right? Is that how I say it? Maluti Apofung. This is a municipality in the Free State. The new municipal manager is a guy called Mzwakhe Mufokeng, and he's basically trying to clean up the municipality. So that's the frothing, and that's the milk and the sugar. The real bad news, listen to some of what he has found. He found a taxi operated at a taxi rank that belongs to the municipality. He says they've got 87 managers in the municipality earning more than 1.4 million rand, some of them with no job descriptions. As a contrast, he says, take Mangaung, which is a big metro. They've got 16 managers. This municipality has 87. They hired a guy who had been out of prison for just 2 months as the revenue manager. He says they were spending 4 million rand a month on water tankers, and now he's bought some for the municipality so they don't have to outsource that service. He says some of these guys would order household water pumps instead of industrial grade pumps so that the infrastructure would break down, and then they would obviously be able to tank the water to the residents. So it's a bad news story in a sense, but the good news is he's doing something about it. If it were bad news, how would you like your coffee?
At least it's not the Matthews Posa municipality.
EWN Business.
29 after 6, Mutewa, you're asking us about our credit cards. Why do we have them? And what do we use them for? Tell us what prompts the question.
Well, the country's credit bureaus say more and more well-off South Africans are using credit cards to get by. Recent studies of debt and defaulting behavior showed well-earning South Africans are increasingly reliant on credit cards to stay afloat and manage the rising cost of living, pointing to a worrying trend of deepening financial strain among the middle class. Now, according to TransUnion, approximately 7 million to 7.5 million South Africans own or use credit cards, with the number of credit active consumers reaching 18.5 million in the second quarter of 2024. Now, usage is surging, with credit card organizations increasing by 36.5% in 2025. Now, credit card debt has reached approximately 250 billion rand, showing an 8.7% increase. Data from Experian showed affluent consumers, who are traditionally seen as low risk, are increasingly reliant on revolving credit to manage the cost of living.
Gosh, what do indicators tell you?
Well, the rand was going through a tough time yesterday because, of course, the oil price was putting pressure on it. 16 rand 77 this morning. It touched 17 rand yesterday during some trade at 19 rand 38 against the euro and 22 rand 47 cents against the British pound. Price of gold still below the $5,000 mark at $4,718 an ounce, or platinum is at $2,017. Brent crude now at $106 a barrel. More business after 7.
Back to Sfiso Zulu at the news desk. This Eyewitness News brought to you by Momentum Financial Advisors. Help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of the Momentum Group, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. Sfiso, you start in Cape Town?
That's right, Bongani. Police have come under fire from a family of a teenager who was shot dead in Drift Sands, accusing officers of delaying the investigation into his murder. 19-year-old Lita Kovuza and his friend were shot by alleged extortionists while waiting for their orders at a spaza shop in the area just last month. And police say a person of interest who may help solve the case has been identified. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
Lita Kovuza's sister Khanya Kovuza is not convinced police are serious about solving her brother's murder.
They're only releasing a statement in March for an incident that happened in February. The police are failing us.
His uncle Ayanda Kovuza says the family has been living in fear since the incident.
We don't even know what's going to happen to us after this interview. We're not safe. These people can come back and kick down the doors here. Where will the police be?
Ndutuzalo Nene, Eyewitness News.
Staying in the Western Cape, the South African National Taxi Council has deployed 32 peace ambassadors across 8 regional taxi sectors in the province. This is part of efforts to stop ongoing violence. Santaco has condemned a recent spike in violence after 2 incidents in less than a week where 5 people died. The taxi body says violence cannot be allowed to define the industry. Santaco Western Cape spokesperson Makosandile Tumana says the peace ambassadors will monitor tensions on the ground to prompt early interventions such as mediation.
We want to appeal to all our members to remain calm, and our members must try to tolerate each other so that we can have time to discuss and try to resolve all our challenges.
Livestock movement in and around Cape Town is under increased scrutiny as authorities clamp down on the spread of the foot and mouth disease. Law enforcement agencies are on duty at different checkpoints. The city says close to 2,600 animals have been vaccinated for the disease since February. The city's JP Smith says officers are stopping and inspecting livestock transported in and around the metro.
Our staff have also been trained to conduct inspections of animals in transit and how to identify possible signs of infection.
He says the inspections are critical to protecting farmers' livelihoods, animal health and food security.
We're also using the opportunity to build relationships with informal farmers. The current outbreak is a major challenge, but the sector is also a key role player in the city's broader efforts to achieve improved animal welfare and public safety.
And a tropical cyclone has lashed Australia's northern tip, hitting remote coastal towns with the strongest winds since seen for a very long time. The severe tropical cyclone made landfall at the northern point of Queensland state, affected the coast. The cyclone hit land as a Category 4 storm system, the second strongest classification, but was soon downgraded to a Category 3. The Queensland Police Service says there have been no immediate reports of major damage, but urged residents to be vigilant. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng today, and showers are expected later. The temperatures are at lows of 17 and 18 degrees, peaking at highs between 27 and 29.
And in the traffic in Germiston, we've got an accident reported on the N3 North. It happened right near the Geldenes interchange. Please be on the lookout there. Heavy traffic volumes coming out of the Yelands turn off. There's also an accident seen on the N1 South. This is in the Nichirina area. It happened after the Golden Highway. It's causing heavy traffic volumes. Please be on the lookout there.
The top story this hour, the police in Cape Town have come under fire from a family of a teen who was shot dead in Triffstown.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone, so I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, my name is Kamohelo Modise. Live in Pretoria. I started listening to 702 back in the years of John Robbie, Kolane Gwala, Eusebius Makaiza, and Azania Masaga. I love 702 because it's very informative with business as well as politics.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
These holidays, millions of South Africans dream of a well-earned getaway. The reality, however, can be very different.
Look like the kind of place that'll only get dusted for fingerprints.
Accommodation can look great online, but in reality...
Never seen a home look so homeless.
Sadly, they've been flat-fished. That's why City Lodge brings you SOS. Visit saveourstay.co.za for City Lodge hotels nearby and up to 30% off. Getting flat-fished is hard. Check into easy. T's and C's apply.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Hi, this is Anlia Itzebet, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. A reminder that you can still shoot for the stars while playing responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counselling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Coming up in the next hour, What's the Question? Brought to you by Outsurance. 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. First, 1,000 Rand for an answer based on anything you heard in the show that piqued your interest. WhatsApp us your name and that answer to 072 702 1702. Then later, someone else will ask a question to get your answer and they will win 2,000 Rand. SMS out to 45142 and you could save on your car insurance.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongs, I take my coffee like my soul, black and bitter. I'd prefer my news the same way. Thanks, John from Randburg.
Morning, Bongs and the team, 702 Land. Bongs, talk about bad news. I prefer mine in a cappuccino with a little bit of froth on top. Don't just come in gun blazing, show some compassion, a little bit of empathy, apply some emotional intelligence. I respond well from that approach. Joel from Kempton Park, have a splendid Friday.
If your bad news were coffee, how would you take it is our shout out this morning. It comes in the wake of an extraordinary story in the Mail and Guardian today. That's our paper of today. A new municipal manager appointed to the municipality of Maluti Pofung. This is in the Free State, and the municipal manager is doing a massive cleanup of that municipality, exposing corruption. He's only been there for 14 months. He's already dismissed 11 senior managers implicated in irregularities, and he says they've been milking that municipality for a long time. One of the things that I thought was unbelievable was a revenue manager hired just 2 months after coming out of jail. He said they appointed 87 senior managers earning more than 1.4 million rand a month, and some of these managers don't have job descriptions. There are non-existent positions in the organizational structure. And of course, this is a municipality that has had all kinds of failures, from electricity outages to water cuts, sewage failures, and they're spending millions milking that municipality and not delivering services. So in a sense, it's a bad news story. The good news is somebody's doing something about it. So I think we'll take it as a hazelnut, hey? It's a hazelnut latte with a bit of sugar, isn't it?
Good morning, Bongani and team. It's Lulu from Pretoria. So I use my credit card for everything, every day-to-day expenses. At the end of the month, I make sure that the credit card is fully cleared. So my credit card expenses is part of my monthly budget. All right. Okay. Enjoy the weekend. Bye.
Mateo was also asking you if you have a credit card and what do you use it for. This, as data suggests, that the more affluent South Africans are increasingly relying on credit to get going.
EWN Sports.
Cindy Paluta out for the morning. We welcome back Anthony Teixeira. Anthony, a very good morning to you. How do you like your bad news? If it were coffee, how would you take it?
Morning, Bongani. An espresso, 100%. I also think it has to be slow roasted. So I just want the details once everything is confirmed. Don't come and worry me with potentially, hypothetically, oh, this might happen. I just want straight up facts, and then we'll deal with it.
All right, but it must be as strong and as bleak as don't cushion me.
Yeah, I'm willing to take it.
Don't sugarcoat it.
No.
All
no
right.
sugar.
Like it dark and bleak. Anthony Teixeira, let's talk about the world of sport.
Well, we'll start with golf, where the All-South African side, the Southern Guards, have taken a one-shot lead over the Crushers in the team standings after the opening round of Live Golf South Africa. EWN Sports' Lennox Wasara has a roundup of the opening round.
The opening round certainly lived up to expectations, with fans treated to top-class golf from both local stars and international names. Brandon Grace set the tone with a superb 64, while supported by Dean Burmester at 4 under par and Lou Stazen at 2 under par. But the moment of the day belonged to Charles Schwarzer, who battled through back spasms to produce a gritty 67. Keeping South African hopes firmly alive. On the individual side, Bryson DeChambeau has also drawn strong support from the crowd, sharing the lead at 8 under par alongside his Crushers teammate Charles Howell III, matching rounds at 63. Lennox Wasara, Eyewitness News Sport, Stay in City.
Well, let's switch now to the cricket, where the Proteas women have lost the third T20 against New Zealand by 6 wickets. Sophie Devine destructive as she struck a 55 not out, chasing down 150, which was set early in the day by the South Africans. That was thanks mainly to a half-century partnership between captain Laura Wolfart and Annerie Dirksen. Still to come, the men will be playing their third T20 with their series level, 1 win each. First ball expected at 8:15. Well, switching to football now, where Bafana squad for the friendlies against Panama later this month have been named. Mainstays Themba Zwane and Jaden Adams have returned, as do Tabelo Moseko and Hlongiwe, while omissions include Ikram Reyners, Mkota and Patrick Maswangine, as well as Sipo Chain among the big calls. Coach Hugo Bruce has spoken as to why he's chosen to play against the South American nation.
That team is on the 33rd place on the world ranking. It's 30 places higher than we are. So that means that there are some qualities. Secondly, it's a Mid-American style. Panama, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Mexico. That's all the same style of playing. And we play against Mexico. So it will be a very good test for us.
In action last night in the Europa League, Aston Villa ran out 2-0 winners on the night and 3-0 on aggregate against French side Lille in the round of 16. Nottingham Forest may struggle in the Premier League, but they've kept marching on in the competition following a shootout win over Danish club Midtjylland, and Crystal Palace through to the Conference League quarters after winning their second leg tie 2-1. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Safety begins in our homes, our streets, and our communities. Government is working to ensure that every person in South Africa feels safe. Based on the President's commitment during the State of the Nation address, the South African National Defence Force is being deployed to support the South African Police Service in crime prevention operations across selected areas in Gauteng, Western Cape, Free State, Eastern Cape, and the Northwest. Their role is to support the South African Police Service to protect communities and strengthen safety where it matters most. Fighting crime needs all of us. If you see criminal activity, speak up. Report it to your nearest police station or call Crime Stop on 0800 10 111. Working together for a safer South Africa. A message from the Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS.
Mzansi, forget the weather forecast. Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a staggering 155 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for 107 million rand and Powerball Plus for 48 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Morning 702. My name is Una Rine. I'm 13 years old. I go to Roosevelt High School, and when I grow up, I'd like to be a surgeon. And I'm excited to play the Whiz Quiz with Uncle Bongani.
Ooh, will you be separating twins someday, Una Rine? 10,000 rand is up for grabs.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview. EWN
Traffic.
13 minutes before 7 o'clock, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 rand. We're laughing, of course, because KG thinks Unarine wants to be a sergeant. Sajin. No, I think he meant surgeon. Yeah, Sajin Unarine. No, I don't think. We'll ask him. We'll ask him in a moment. Who is waiting with bated breath in traffic for the Whiz Quiz? Amo?
Bongani, the people out on the N3 North. A major accident scene happened along this route between the Elands turn-off and Van Buren Road. It's causing massive queues, about a 20-minute hold-up there. There's also another accident that's been stressing a lot of our listeners this morning, Bongani. This one is on the N1 South in the Nitorina area. It's causing delays from the Golden Highway exit, but we still have got those delays coming out of the N12, N1 split. This is in the Freedom Park and Devlin areas. This is due to peak time delays as well as on Lucas.
Can I tell you, we've solved another crisis this morning? For a time, your camera wasn't on. We're getting lots of complaints on the YouTube feed, but I'm pleased to say, all's well that ends well. You can now see Amo in full Technicolor on our YouTube streaming. Amo Ramila, EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when you flip the duvet and magically find the TV remote when you can see Amo on the YouTube feed? Well, that's how good it feels to see the Outsurance pointsman on your route. Everyone breathes just a little easier knowing they're there. They're easing traffic congestion so we can all get there quickly and safely. They've done it for 20 years. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
On 23rd March, join Freedom Park and the National Heritage Council to commemorate the Battle of Cuito Cuanavale, a defining moment in Southern African history. It'll feature a public lecture, a wreath-laying ceremony, and messages of solidarity. It's all about courage, unity, and sacrifice at Freedom Park, Pretoria, 23 March 2026. Be there. Be part of the legacy.
Every hour in South Africa, someone hears the words, "You have blood cancer." For many patients, a stem cell transplant is their only chance at survival. Yet their match could come from a stranger, someone like you. It takes just 3 minutes to register as a stem cell donor. So visit dkmsafrica.org today and give someone the best kind of hope.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Right, coming up, we have a conversation with Khumutso Modise looking at the week that was. She does incredible work. You can catch her on social media platforms. She'll be giving us an update on what happened in Parliament and at Madlanga, the Commission this week. But before that, let's speak to Unarine, who is 13 years old, goes to Roosevelt High. Unarine, we wanted to make sure we heard you correctly. Do you want to be a sergeant, as in a police officer, or a surgeon, as in a doctor? Unarine,
a surgeon, as in a doctor.
A surgeon, as in a doctor. You'll be performing your own little miracles, hey?
Yes.
Yes. All right, Unarine. Not much of a talker. Let's see if you're a doer. KG, start the clock. Which superhero is known as the Man of Steel?
Aquaman.
Superman. On which continent is the country Thailand?
Australia.
Asia. In maths, what is 22 minus 4?
What? I couldn't hear you.
What is 22 minus 4?
17.
No, it's 18. What is a group of lions called?
A pride.
That is correct. Does the word concur mean to agree or to disagree?
Agree.
True or false? A green mamba is a venomous snake? That is true, but not in time, I'm afraid. That is true. Not in time, I'm afraid. 200 Rand is what you walk away with, Unarine, for today's Whiz Quiz. A bit of a rough round there for you, but that's how it sometimes goes. You have to be aged 10 to 13 to play, and there's 10,000 Rand up for grabs. And we do stress to supporters and family members and parents, no whispering to the little ones. We can hear it, you know. We can hear it.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
On 702.
702.
The Political Desk.
Let's talk the week that was. Let's look at two main stories this week. Of course, the ad hoc committee in Parliament looking at alleged infiltration by criminal cartels of our law enforcement, wrapping up its public hearings. They will deliberate for some time before drafting a report to be debated in the National Assembly. And of course, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues its work. And Khumutso Modise has been keeping an eye on all of that. She's a journalist and a news creator. You can catch her on various social media platforms. She really does give you a bite-sized explanation of what's been going on. Khumutso, always a pleasure to chat to you.
Lovely talking to you, Bongani. Good morning.
Let's start in Parliament. We saw the return, of course, of the man who started all this trouble, the KZN Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, sticking to his guns, particularly when it comes to Senzo Mchunu, the suspended police minister. He says he is captured.
Absolutely. You know, at the heart of that explosive July 6th press briefing that we saw from General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was that he believed that Minister Senzo Mchunu was tied up in these criminal underworld figures. And it seems from the testimony that we heard this week before the ad hoc committee, he believes that Senzo Mchunu was being used by alleged criminal underworld figures. And as a result, he was also corrupt himself. You'll remember that really the main cry or concern that was made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was the decision to disband the political killings task team, a decision that was made by Senzo Mchunu. And the question really is, why would Senzo Mchunu do that? The allegation is that he made the decision to disband when the PKTT started moving too close to figures that were linked to him, and these are criminal underworld figures, alleged crime kingpins like Vusmuzi Matala and Katiso KT Molefe.
The other explosive part of this, of course, is, and we've seen this in terms of the witnesses that have appeared both before Parliament, but specifically, of course, at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, which I'll come to in a moment. But Mkhwanazi mentioning, for example, the SAP's counterintelligence head, Feroz Khan, whom he says is in charge of counterintelligence even without a state security clearance himself, which was an extraordinary thing to hear.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I found it really interesting during this process to find out how many of our police officers do not have security clearance. In fact, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi himself not having security clearance, and he says this is because of the ongoing investigations against him that he insists are frivolous. One of those being investigations into or involving Khomoso Phahlane as well as Robert McBride. But it was interesting for me to hear that there are police officers, some of them who are at the level of seniority of General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who are without that police clearance. Of course, that is the work of state security.
He alleged that Khan was somebody who would conceal drug evidence confiscated from cartels, and then Mkhwanazi linked him to Julius Malema, whose name we heard once more at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry yesterday in a different context, but he's not coming out looking so shiny, is the EFF leader, is he?
He isn't. So for now, we are waiting to find out what exactly the allegation against Julius Malema is. We know that in the messages that were heard yesterday from Sergeant Bongani Bingwa, he's been referred to as CIC Juju, and the assumption is that this is Julius Malema. But the actual role that he played in this tender fraud has not really been gone into yet. We know that he has been mentioned, and I'm certain, Bongani, that we are going to be hearing a lot more today as Sergeant Bongani Bingwa continues to testify.
And of course, he's been somebody who's been found wanting a number of times, has Sergeant Bongani Bingwa, just in terms of the evasiveness of his answers. He can't remember certain things at certain times. Not the best witness we've seen.
Yes, you know, from the testimony that we heard this week from Bongani Bingwa, I think it's become really clear, for me at least, to see why he was insisting on testifying behind closed doors. I mean, he's made a number of concessions, a number of admissions. It's very clear that he has been linked to a number of underworld figures like Vusmuzi Matala. He even spoke about how those people or that person is his brother. So really admitting to having these links to Matala. But also you remember that really one of the main points that Bongani Bingwa was being investigated for, and what the reason that he was brought before the commission, was the role that he played as an alleged link between figures like Matala, Molefe, as well as senior police officers Shadrack Sibia. And it seems from the testimony this week that link can be seen. We know that we've seen him in videos as well, Bongani, where he was at the home of Katiso KT Molefe with a bag that seemed to be a bag of money. And the testimony that's been heard this week has all pointed to those links.
I mean, one of the things I think that's been extraordinary in terms of the evidence presented at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry are the number of senior police officers who were essentially on the take from alleged criminals. Now, a number of them have different explanations. It was a loan for this, they paid it back. One even suggesting she was the girlfriend of one of these guys, but essentially top cops on the take.
Absolutely, Bongani. You know, the evidence that's been led in the Madlanga Commission is such good evidence, and it seems to be spot on to the point where the police officers cannot deny the relationships and the links that they have to these figures. You make reference to the testimony of Richard Shibiri, who's also a senior cop. He also couldn't deny the relationship that he had with Vusmuzi Katmadala, and that speaks to the quality of evidence that's been presented to him. I mean, we're speaking about WhatsApp messages, we're speaking about photographs. So it's very clear that the police officers that have been brought before the Madlanga Commission in this part of the commission have been struggling to deny the links that they have. What now needs to be established is whether the commission believes them on what the explanations that they've given about the relationships that they've had. And almost all of them have denied having corrupt relations with Vusmuzi Katmadala and other figures. And the question really is that, can you maintain, or what is a police officer doing maintaining the relationships that they have with the likes of Matala? These are, corruption accused and crime accused figures in this country that we've heard are linked to some of the most serious crimes.
And these guys want us to take them seriously as police officers, even as they claim they didn't know these people were doing all these bad things. Appreciate your time as always, journalist and news creator Homutso Modise.
702. Coming up, the big interview.
Up next, we speak to the National Treasury. They've got a 54 billion rand performance-based grant for the metros. Will it help them deliver?
This is EWN.
A non-existent municipality is at the center of a tender scandal, and South Africans are once again assured that they are cushioned from the effects of the Middle East war. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. In an attempt to explain why Tshwane's chief financial officer was assisting his brother with tender documents, Gauteng Cop Sergeant Kenneth Nkosi has told the Madlanga Commission the paper was to apply for a contract at a municipality that doesn't seem to exist. Nkosi yesterday testified that Tshwane CFO Gareth Mnisi helped his brother apply for a tender at the Matthew Posa municipality in Mpumalanga, but no such municipality exists in the province or even in the country. Tabiso Koba has the story.
WhatsApp messages before the Madlanga Commission show Sergeant Kenneth Nkosi and Tshwane CFO Gareth Mnisi were regularly in contact over a security tender at the metro. Messages show Nkosi wanted the tender to go to his brother's company, Ngapesheya. However, there was an issue as the company was not compliant with at least 12 of the bid specifications listed for the tender. This didn't stop the two from trying to secure the tender, as 6 months after the submission deadline, Mnisi was still giving Nkosi pointers on how Ngapesheya can become compliant. When asked about this at the Madlanga Commission, Nkosi says the pointers were for a different tender his brother was applying for in Mpumalanga.
This project was merely or barely meant for Mpumalanga, Matthew Posa municipality.
Matthews Posa is a prominent anti-apartheid activist and ANC stalwart who hails from Bombela in Mpumalanga. However, there is currently no municipality named after him. At the same time, the commission has asked Nkosi to provide it with evidence of his brother applying for this tender. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The family of murdered Cape Town teenager Lita Govuza say he was dedicated to his church and studies. Govuza and a friend were shot by alleged extortionists in front of a spaza shop in the area while waiting for their orders. Police say they are following up on new leads after releasing images of a person of interest linked to the case. Ntutuzelo Nene visited the family.
Lita Govuza's family says the 19-year-old had planned to further his studies at university before his death. His sister Kanya Govuza says he was also due to celebrate his 20th birthday next month. She says the family is struggling to come to terms with the loss.
We would love to hear from the police who killed him, why they killed him. We have so many unanswered questions.
The family is calling for a speedy and thorough investigation into Lita's murder. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
Trade Minister Pak Tau has assured Parliament that systems are in place to prevent a fuel shortage as a result of the ongoing US and Iran conflict. Tau says South Africa is working on easing the pressure on consumers. Tau participated in a debate of national public importance on the conflict in Parliament yesterday. Babalo Ndenza was there.
Bossa leader Mmusi Maimane sponsored yesterday's debate on the ongoing crisis in the Middle East following the recent US attack on Iran and the implications this has on South Africa. He said the conflict will not remain confined to the Middle East and will travel through energy markets, through supply chains, and into the daily lives of South Africans. But Minister Pak Tau said the country has put in place contingencies to ease the impact on South Africa in terms of fuel supply.
Honourable members, government has put in place systems to prevent a fuel shortage. Minister Mantashe and his department have acted decisively to secure alternative sources of fuel and provide security of supply. The Strategic Fuel Fund remains intact and available.
Tau said alternative supply is underway, but the reality is that the price of fuel is rising and no country can avoid it. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Meanwhile, 6 major international powers say they are ready to contribute to ensuring safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, though 3 have stressed that any initiative would take place after a ceasefire. But Italy, Germany and France have clarified that they were not talking about any immediate military help, but rather a potential multilateral initiative after a ceasefire. The declaration came as an effective Iranian blockade on the strait has paralyzed commercial shipping through the crucial maritime checkpoint, which in peacetime sees a fifth of global crude oil and liquefied natural gas pass through it. The war, which erupted on February 28 when the United States and Israel began bombing Iran, has led Tehran to retaliate with strikes across the Gulf region. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the situation has to be de-escalated soon.
The situation in the region is extremely serious. It is causing great instability, suffering, and growing risks far beyond the region itself. And this is why we need de-escalation and maximum restraint, the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure.
Gold is trading at $4,648.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.71 to the dollar, 22.48 to the pound, 19.39 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $106.44 a barrel.
There's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1, both directions between the N12 exit and the Golden Highway due to a major accident scene. There's also queuing traffic reported on the R21 South approaching Atlas Road. That's due to an accident in the Kempton Park area.
And in your sport, the Proteas women lose the 30-20 against New Zealand by 6 wickets, with the South African men and the Black Caps set to meet later this morning at 8:15. While we have Bafana squad for the international break named by Hugo Bruce, and Live Golf South Africa heads into the second round.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng with showers expected today. Johannesburg is at a low of 17 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 18 and 29. Vereeniging 17 and 28. The top story in EWN this hour. In an attempt to explain why Tshwane's chief financial officer was assisting his brother with tender documents, Gauteng Cop Sergeant Bongani Nkosi has told the Madlanga Commission that the paper was to apply for a contract at a municipality that doesn't seem to exist.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
What a story this is, hey? His brother was being assisted with tender documents. He was applying for a contract at the Matthews Phosa Municipality in Mpumalanga. EP, where is it? Waar is it? Huh? There's no Matthews Phosa Municipality in Mpumalanga. It's really quite extraordinary. Have a listen now to the same Sergeant Nkosi explaining or implicating the leader of the EFF in connection with alleged tender fraud. I mean, if this is a guy who's going to invent municipalities, do you believe what he has to say about Julius Malema?
Then they gave him these 7 companies. Then they further said to him, these companies belong to CIC Juju. And then they further elaborated that the same companies were also given to the CFO. So he sent me the same companies to send to CFO to verify, as in he knows about these companies. And are these companies legit, or is it true the way they are saying that they were sent by Juju?
Right? This is a guy who's inventing municipalities. Yeah, ne? How do you do that? Well, talking about how do you do that, let's go to Washington now, where the US president is hosting the new Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi. Remember, she was appointed and then she called a snap election, won a landslide victory, and now has a very strong mandate. Likens herself to a kind of Margaret Thatcher. Big fan of Donald Trump. And so there they were. She's visiting Washington. There they were, taking questions from journalists after bilateral discussions. I wonder if she's going to remain a fan of Donald Trump after this moment. Taking questions from Japanese journalists, Trump responds in the most extraordinary way. Let me not tell you. Hear it for yourself.
We have a very special person, just won a tremendous election. And
why didn't you tell U.S. allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? You know, he's asking me, do you believe in surprise? I think much more so than us.
Hey, what a thing to say. So the Japanese journalists want to know, Japan is your ally. We are friends with the US. Why did you not tell us you were going to launch this attack on Iran? He says, no, we wanted it to be a complete surprise. You can't attack and let everyone know you're going to attack. It was meant to be a surprise. Oh, but you guys, that's rich coming from you. You didn't tell us about Pearl Harbor. This goes back to World War II, when the Japanese, of course, attacked Pearl Harbor, the American facility in Pearl Harbor in the Pacific, leading to the entry of the US in World War II. What? Where was Donald Trump in World War II? It really is quite extraordinary. The other bit of controversy facing the Trump administration, this Trump White House, is, of course, the claims they made as far as the reason for this war against Iran. Remember, we told you just the other day about the resignation of the counterterrorism director, one Joe Kent, appointed by Trump. And when he resigned, of course, because he said this war makes no sense, Trump called him weak. Well, that guy, Joe Kent, has given an interview to Tucker Carlson, who is a well-known American broadcast journalist, not always one I agree with. But nonetheless, Joe Kent has pushed back against the official explanation of the US's reasons for going to war against Iran.
On the verge of getting a nuclear weapon.
No, they weren't, 3 weeks ago when this started, and they weren't in June either. I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa, against actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted.
Was Iran...
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
13 after 7, things you need to know at this hour. It was on this day in 1916 that Albert Einstein submitted the first complete version of the general theory of relativity. It wasn't just maths. It's reshaped how we understand time, space, and gravity itself. Now, an extraordinary story coming out of Afghanistan. One woman who, after years of physical abuse by her husband, sought a divorce. And the matter was heard by a Taliban-led court, which has essentially said her reasons for wanting to leave this man who was physically abusing her for many a year aren't sufficient. She has been told, you have a nice husband, live with him. A little anger, a few beatings won't kill you. A new law, of course, in Afghanistan does allow husbands to beat up their wives so long as, quote unquote, it's not obscene force. Today is World Oral Health Day, and it's a reminder that we don't focus enough on our mouths. In fact, I've got a package here that I've just received from Prox, and they've got a fancy toothbrush, and it's all about oral health. How careful are you about your oral health and your smile? It is World Oral Health Day, so thank you for thank you to the folks at Prox for this fantastic gift. They've given us a toothbrush, an electric toothbrush. Amo, was this your suggestion? Are you trying to tell me something? On this day in 1982, Joan Jett and the Black Hearts hit #1 in the US with I Love Rock and Roll, and it stayed there for 7 weeks. The song, in fact, was a B-side by a British band called The Arrows, but Jett had seen them perform it on TV whilst in the UK and knew it was a hit, so they recorded it. It reached #4 in the UK. Joan Jett turned it into a rock and roll anthem.
Play my favorite song, and I could tell it would be long. It was with me, yeah, me, and I could tell it.
Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN Traffic.
We love rock and roll and we love Amo Ramila. What's happening in traffic, Amo?
Well, Bongani, we've got heavy traffic volumes in the city of Tshwane. There's an accident reported on the N1 South. It's right near John Forster Drive. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Water Avenue. Please be on the lookout there. If you are heading towards the CBD via the Old Johannesburg Road, do expect delays coming out of the Brockfontein Road. There's also queuing traffic reported on the R21 South in the Kempton Park area. Major accident scene right near Atlas Road. It's causing heavy traffic volumes. I'll have more updates. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Burgers have gone global. Raymond Burgers, Roti Burgers, Korean, Mexican, plant forward, gourmet stacks. The burger game has leveled up, and now it's a home cook's turn to flex. So this Sunday on MasterChef South Africa, Season 6, the contestants take on one of the world's most iconic dishes, the burger. It's not just a patty, a bun, and lettuce. Burgers have been reinvented. The brief is simple, the execution anything but. Build a burger that's creative, inventive, and Instagrammable. A stack of dreams bursting with color, texture, big bite energy. A burger that slaps visually and delivers smash hit flavors. So you can tune in to MasterChef on Sunday. They're going to be doing these gourmet burgers, and we want to pose a challenge to you. If you can do just as well or even better, why don't you post your own burger, tag us at 702 Breakfast, and of course you can tag me, and we will also see what your burgers look like and give you an opportunity to meet one of the contestants, perhaps even the judges.
Let's hear from Dr. Armand, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Mzansi, forget the weather forecast. Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a staggering 155 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for 107 million rand and Powerball Plus for 48 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
My name is Komoto Modise. I'm in for John Pullman. Sergeant Nkosi has been on the witness stand. His testimony sounds explosive to me from the details that I've heard. Is it fair to describe it as such? And just how valuable is Sergeant Nkosi's testimony?
I think so far he's literally been one of the most pernicious witnesses that have appeared at the Madla Commission. You'd imagine this wouldn't be someone who would be a protagonist in sort of this crime underworld that we have in the country. country and also in the law enforcement sector.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
19 after 7, and of course, as South Africans think about what mark they will make in the local government elections later in the year, there's no denying many of us are living in cities that are under enormous pressure. We've seen aging infrastructure to unreliable services, electricity outages, sewage failures. We've seen water cuts, all kinds of corruption and maladministration. But this week, government launched a 54 billion rand performance-based grant aimed at improving how particularly the country's 8 metropolitan municipalities are able to deliver basic services. The fund, though, will be tied to performance, which means that a metro like Joburg will access the money if they meet specific targets and improve, particularly when it comes to investment in infrastructure. We've got on the line, I'm pleased to tell you, the Director General of National Treasury, Dr. Duncan Pieterse, on the line. A very good morning to you, and thank you for talking to us on 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, Bongani, and to your listeners.
We'll talk about this fund in just a moment, but perhaps I'd like to hear your take. As you hear all of these stories from various metropolitan municipalities around the country, indeed many a municipality knowing the funding that is allocated to them, from a treasury point of view, how frustrating is it to know that the plans you have and the allocations that these public entities and municipalities are given sometimes come to naught because of maladministration and corruption?
I think, Bongani, for us, one of the biggest challenges is the underspending that takes place in a lot of these municipalities and also in our metros. Because what effectively happens with those funds that are allocated is that if they are underspent in a particular municipality, they are either reallocated to a municipality who can spend the funds, and then that means that the residents in that jurisdiction lose out on that funding. And if there are no reallocation opportunities that exist, then those funds end up back in the National Revenue Fund, and they don't reach any of the municipalities at all. So from that perspective, it can be quite frustrating because while it contributes to the overall health of the National Revenue Fund when funds are returned, the ultimate objective of those funds is to improve service delivery in those areas, and we would much rather those funds be spent there.
Yeah, I mean, it must be frustrating because the money was there, and from what I'm understanding of that answer is the better a metro or a municipality performs, the more likely they will get even more money, and then it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will, and the reverse is true, of course, for the underperforming ones.
Yeah, we've tried to design this program to strike a balance, Bongani, between incentivizing well-performing metros by making sure that they can access the funds that have been allocated as part of this program. But we are also working with some of the struggling metros to ensure that through the performance plans that they themselves would have signed off on, as well as the way in which they manage these businesses, that we can support them so that even those who are struggling can access some of the funds that have been allocated here. And it's really about making sure that that through these incentives or through this performance-based grant, we are creating an incentive that can help to turn around the long-term decline in the provision of electricity, water, and wastewater, and as well solid waste management, which is the point that you made when you were opening the conversation.
All right, just explain then. 54 billion rand is the total amount that's available. How will this performance-based grant work?
So perhaps you touched on the problem, but let me give you a very practical example for residents that are in Johannesburg. So in the 25-26 City of Johannesburg budget, which is the current budget that we are working through for that city, that city estimates that they will collect about 11.9 billion rand in revenue for water. But the city of Johannesburg only plans to spend, of that 11.9 billion rand in revenue, they only plan to spend 1.3 billion rand on water infrastructure. And this is a situation that is replicated across all of our metros and across all of our trading services. So the revenue that's collected in those businesses do not go back into the maintenance of that infrastructure or into the expansion of those services. And so what this reform is really about is to make sure that those trading services can be run as professional businesses. And by trading services, we mean electricity, waste and wastewater, and solid waste management, that they are run as professional businesses with a single point of accountability, where some of the revenue that those businesses generate are reinvested back into those businesses, and so that over the medium term, you can start seeing those businesses turn around and have a better infrastructure that supports those cities.
Well, I appreciate your time. Dr. Duncan Peters, sir, is the Director General of the National Treasury of South Africa. We're also joined, I'm glad to tell you, by the Minister of Transport, Barbara Creecy. This, of course, follows the transport sector taking stage at the inaugural National Transport Conference, and we brought in the Minister just to talk us through some of the key takeouts from that. Minister, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time this morning.
Morning and greetings to all of your listeners.
All right, let's talk about some of the issues that we've discussed many a time before, issues like taxi violence and getting public rail working, particularly for passengers. Just give us the major takeouts of the recent national conference.
Well, I think that obviously there were different discussions focusing on different modes of transport. But if one was to understand the overall takeout, it would be that there are major technological changes taking place across the globe, that there are huge developments with regard to ports and rail in our own sub-region of our continent, and that we are impacted on by these developments. We need to seize them as opportunities, and we need to build integration between local modes of transport, but also with other countries within the region. And obviously, yes. Bongani?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done there. One of the interesting points that I read was the proposal, for example, by Dr. Siabulela Fobosi, that senior researcher at the University of Fort Hare, who says taxi violence needs to be treated like organized crime under the Prevention of Organized Crime Act. What did you make of that proposal?
Look, I think that there are two issues. The one is that my own experience of taxi violence is that it is a criminal activity. Not all taxi owners and taxi operators are involved in violence. They are themselves victims of it. And obviously, one of the reasons is because there's high rates of unemployment in our country. And so there are more people who want to operate, particularly on profitable routes, than there are profitable routes to absorb them. And so people get pushed out. But I think that there's also the ongoing problem which we're dealing with both in the taxi industry and in the scholar transport industry, which is the affordability squeeze because of the fuel price. And the consequence of that being that customers are not getting the kind of service that they need, and the industry is putting both their own drivers and customers at risk.
PRASA continues to be in the news for all the wrong reasons. How concerned are you about that?
I am concerned about it because I do think that PRASA has done amazing work and come a very long way. I think we're dealing with ongoing legacy issues. I have been very clear to the management and the board of PRASA that all of these issues have to be properly investigated. I think that next week the PRASA will be going before the Portfolio Committee in Parliament to answer questions on the GO tender, which is the revitalization of the old yellow fleet of PRASA. And I think that I've been very clear with them that they need to explain the investigations that have gone on, the consequence management that is in process, but also the fact that we are using that yellow fleet and it's not standing idle.
Minister, in 2 weeks' time, of course, we'll be well into the Easter weekend, and many of us are dreading the statistics that will come from our roads in terms of accidents and fatalities. What's the plan?
Bongani, we are launching our plan for March and April today, in fact. And obviously, key focus areas are going to have to be roadworthiness of vehicles, speed, drunken driving, and of course, we've going to have a major focus on pedestrians because they still account for more than 50% of road deaths.
Minister of Transport, Barbara Creasy, appreciate your time.
EWN Business.
Catch up with business news now. Muteo Horipe, Exxaro's revenues increasing. This is boosted by higher coal production and exports.
Yeah, that revenue hitting 41 billion rand. Exxaro returned cash to investors as the group shifts into renewables and manganese. The miner has increased its annual dividend, even as softer coal prices weighed on earnings for that reporting period. The company says its coal exports could rise by up to 12% this year, helped by improved freight rail performances, as well as energy supply disruptions caused by the Middle East conflict. The coal miner says exports could reach 8 million metric tons in 2026.
I heard the most extraordinary prediction. Saudi Arabia thinking it could hit as high as $180. This is the price of oil now if this conflict drags on. Where is it now?
Yeah, it's a tit for tat, $106 a barrel, but it changes by the hour depending if there's strikes. Yeah, by the minute, right? And that's seen a lot of pressure on our local unit, the rand at 16 rand 77 against the US dollar, 19 rand 39 against the euro, and at 22 rand 48 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,716 an ounce, or platinum at $2,010. Brent crude going up at $107 a barrel. More business after 8.
To Mpumalanga we go. Sfiso Zulu at a municipality that does exist.
That's right, Mohani. Good morning. The Standerton Magistrates Court in the province has issued summons to a man accused of tax evasion of more than 300 million rand. SARS launched an investigation revealing that the 59-year-old failed to submit his personal income tax for 15 years. The tax agency has summoned him to court, where he's due to appear on the 14th of April. Hawk spokesperson Christopher Singo.
The incident took place during the period of 2008 and 2023. As a result, SARS was prejudiced and suffered a total loss of 307 million. The matter was then reported to the Hawk Serious Commercial Crime Investigation Team.
The Northwest government says it has received a second consignment of 50,000 vaccines for its foot and mouth disease vaccination campaign. More than 111,000 livestock in the province have been vaccinated. The Agricultural Department says its vaccination campaign was accelerated by the first batch of the doses received from Turkey. The department's Langa Majibi.
And vaccination of the current existing doses of vaccine is going to be finished by Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
The South African National Taxi Council has deployed 32 peace ambassadors across 8 regional taxi sectors in the Western Cape. This is part of efforts to stop ongoing violence in the province. Santaco has condemned the recent spike in taxi violence after 2 incidents in less than a week left 5 people dead. The body says violence cannot be allowed to define the industry. Santaco Western Cape spokesperson Makosandile Tumana says the peace ambassadors will monitor tensions on the ground and promote early interventions such as mediation.
We want to appeal to all our members to remain calm, and our members must try to tolerate each other so that we can have time to discuss and try to resolve all our challenges.
And a trio linked to a U.S. technology supplier have been charged over a ploy to smuggle American artificial intelligence chips to China. The individuals allegedly conspired to sell billions of dollars worth of technology to buyers in China by faking documents and using dummy equipment to slip past audits. The Department of Justice says the goods in question included NVIDIA-made semiconductors, which are highly converted AI chips, which are subject to export controls. Last year, 2 Chinese nationals were also arrested and charged with illegally shipping millions of dollars worth of NVIDIA chips to China. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng with showers expected today. The temperatures are at lows of 17 and 18 degrees, peaking at highs between 27 and 29.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes along the R21 South approaching Atlas Road. That's due to an accident. Please be on the lookout there. That's also queuing traffic in the city of Tshwane along the N1 South due to another accident scene that happened right near John Forster Drive.
The top story this hour, the Standerton Magistrates Court in Mpumalanga has issued summons to a man accused of tax evasion of more than 300 million rand.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What do you still want to do? There's a whole lot that I want to do in my life. I haven't stopped. Number one, I promised myself that I will start directing by the age of 50. But instead of directing at the age of 50, I started dancing.
Started dancing at 50?
Yeah, because I was celebrating. And when the clock went to midnight, and I was 50, and I told myself, every Friday, I am going to dance. I called it Friday Moves on Instagram, and I danced throughout the year. That's what I wanted to do, because guess what, Clement? There's a whole lot of people that were in Barra with me at the same time with my mother when I was born that are not here anymore. So I'll rather enjoy this as much as I possibly can.
The legendary actor Kenneth Nkosi.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Amo, do you know the Tazuna philosophy, where every detail intuitively connects you as a user with the machine? The Lexus NX is future-focused and ready for whatever your journey brings. Built for busy city living and for families who want more from every drive. It's a premium SUV designed for daily life, and it's crafted with intuitive technology that works seamlessly, refined hybrid performance, and it keeps every journey efficient, and comfort, of course, makes the trips feel even more special. And then there's the design. Elegant, confident, and impossible to overlook. Book a test drive at your nearest Lexus dealership and discover what experience amazing truly means. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Let's be honest. Africa could be doing way better. But complaining won't change anything. Getting involved will. If you care about Africa's future and want to be part of something that disrupts the status quo, then this is for you. Download the Our Platform app, which focuses on problem solving, global competitiveness, and self-love. Africa is changing the narrative. Don't get left behind. Download Our Platform. Say hello to the new look Africa.
Are you a legal practitioner looking to do your mediation course? Come and train in mediation with the Law Society of South Africa, the preferred leader in legal education with over 35 years of experience. We also offer advanced training, specialized skills development, and continuous legal education to ensure legal practitioners excel with competence and integrity. Stay ahead in your profession. Explore more courses at lssa.org.za. The Law Society of South Africa, leaders in legal education.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
There have been various claims that the business rescue practitioners at the post office have proposed to be liquidated. So Anush Ruplal is the business rescue practitioner there.
We obliged with protocol. It's 3 budget speech later, having submitted submissions, and we have not received this funding. So unfortunately, the company that compels us to consider when there's no further funding to meet day-to-day claims and creditor payments, that we've got to consider a liquidation position. We have not filed with any court.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking. Trade powers Africa's growth, and businesses that succeed are those able to manage risk, optimize liquidity, and move confidently across markets. Absa Corporate and Investment Banking helps enable your trade flows for growth. Absa is a registered FSP. T's and C's apply.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongani. After listening to Barbara Creasy, I'm not impressed. Where do these ministers live? They can see how many unroadworthy cars are on the road, but they all of a sudden implement, now we've got to check on unroadworthy cars on the road. That should be ongoing. It shouldn't be, let's look at, I give up. I absolutely give up. I don't think they live in this country.
To be fair, I don't think that's what the minister meant. I mean, I do think that is ongoing. Obviously, in a season where things become heightened, there'll be a stronger focus on it, certainly. And I agree with you. I think it should be ongoing. But I would think around the festive season or the Easter break, there'll be a much larger focus because that's when the numbers tend to spike insofar as road accidents and fatalities on our roads. And I think that's what she means. But because they've got a special plan and campaign they're launching around Easter, I don't think she meant to suggest that it doesn't happen in other times when it's off-peak season. I don't quite think that's what she meant.
Morning, Bongs and the team. Malutia Pofung is a municipality in the Eastern Free State. Kwakwa, Butadi Chaba. I'm so glad finally there's someone who's willing to do something. Because when we think of going home, there is no power all the time. Like, out of 24 hours, you'll get electricity for 3 hours. Water tanks, the mission of not having water. How do you use a bathroom? The hygiene just goes, we want to go home, see our parents, but when we think of those things, I just hope he'll get at the bottom of this.
I was telling you, of course, about a story in today's Mail and Guardian, a new city manager for that municipality in the Free State trying to do a cleanup. And he's told of extraordinary things that are happening in that municipality, including hiring a revenue manager 2 months after being released from prison. So a parolee turned manager of revenue. He's talked about how water mafias are basically looting from the city. He says he's uncovered a deep-rooted culture of corruption. He's been there for 14 months. He's already fired 11 senior managers. He says they've got 87 in this relatively smaller municipality compared, say, to a metro like Mangaung, which is not far away. So they had 87 managers earning 1.4 million rand. And he says in Mangaung, they've got 16. So why would they in Maluti Apofung need 87? Some of these guys, he says, don't even have job descriptions. They're just given titles and the salary for not doing very much. And that's why we were asking you the question earlier that if your bad news was coffee, how would you take it? Because it is bad news, but it's got a little bit of sugar and cream because he is fixing things, isn't he?
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. A chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. 1,000 Rand for the answer and then 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. We've got Zini in Pretoria. Zini, firstly, I got to ask you, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
I'm already a client, Bongani.
You biscuit. I want to give you this money. Give us the answer. Put us out of our misery.
The answer is 1982.
1982, Zini. 1,000 Rand is coming your way. All
Thank
thanks
you.
to Outsurance and 702. Zini, thank you for that answer. 1982 is what Zini says. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 8830
EWN Sport.
Right, Anthony Teixeira in for Cindy Paluta, and we'll start with football, and hopefully that result, whatever it may be, will stand the test of time. Anthony Teixeira?
Good morning, Bongani.
Bafana?
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy if they decided that we weren't going to the World Cup right now. But yeah, Bafana will officially turn their attention to international opponents in preparation for that upcoming FIFA World Cup with 2 matches against Panama later this month. Hugo Broos named his final 23-player squad and hinted at a positional change for Relebohile Mofokeng, even though there's the return of Themba Zwane in the squad.
really is not a winger. I will see now if he can satisfy us on that position. For me, he will not play anymore on the wings because I don't think he's a winger. He don't have the qualities to be a good winger. I think he has the qualities to be a good number 10 because there with his intelligence, his qualities, he can help the team a lot. So it's up to him now. I will give him the chance and we will see what that will bring us.
Well, last night in the Europa and Conference Leagues, we saw the Premier League teams pick up wins. That's Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace all advancing through to the quarterfinals of their competitions. While 10 p.m. this evening, Man United will look to cement top 3 in the English top flight as they head to Bournemouth. In cricket, the Proteas women have now gone 2-1 down in that 5-match series against New Zealand after losing this morning's encounter by 6 wickets. Sophie Devine was the thorn in the South Africans' attack as the all-rounder claimed 2 wickets and then smashed 55 in that run chase. South African innings saw starts for Wolfhard, Dirksen and Reinecker. However, none went on to score big, with regular wickets slowing down their innings. Eventually, they could only post 149 for 7. Part 2 at Eden Park will see the men meeting at 8:15 this morning with their series level. Opening day of the Live Golf South Africa at Steyn City didn't disappoint. 2-time major winner Bryson DeChambeau, who shares the lead with Charles Hull III, says the event and reception has the reason why he joined the league.
First off, what an environment. This is what all of us players saw Live Golf being and the potential of it. You know, whether it's Australia or South Africa. I mean, South Africa showed out today and it's only Thursday. So I'm quite impressed with the environment here and the people and the love that we felt today. It really energizes all of us players and makes us want to give back more.
South Africa's Brandon Gray still in the mix, 1 stroke back on 7 under par. Elsewhere, through 16 holes of the second round, South Africa's Dylan Fratelli is 4 shots off of Hainan Classic leader Jordan Grumberg. Meanwhile, on the PGA Tour, Sanjay In is 7 under par after the opening round of the Valspar Championship. United Rugby Championship weekend will be kicking off at Loftus this evening between the Bulls and Cardiff. And reports are F1 team Aston Martin have made an inquiry to offer us Audi team principal to run their race under Adrian Newey. The constructor has started the season poorly, with new regulations see them far behind the rivals, currently last in the World Championship after the first 2 race weekends. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
Using Scholar Transport comes with responsibilities. Every learner has a role to play in keeping themselves, their friends, and the driver safe. Stay seated and behave responsibly. Avoid shouting, pushing, standing, or moving around inside the vehicle at any time. Think safety first. Remember that safety starts before the journey begins and continues until you are safely off the road. Good behavior saves lives. Your actions matter. Issued by the National Department of Transport.
The Audi Open house sale event is now on. This is until the 30th of April, the biggest Audi sales event of the year. Get to your closest Audi dealership and you can test drive a wide range of Audi models. You can explore exclusive limited time offers and you stand a chance to win an Audi Formula One experience. So if you've been waiting for the right time to experience Audi, well, this is it. Visit audi.co.za for more or to book your test drive. Terms and conditions apply.
We at Monument Dental are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Some holidays give you the beach. Some give you the bush. What if one destination gave you both? This July, a world-first travel experience arrives in KZN with the opening of Club Med South Africa Beach and Safari Resort. To celebrate, 702 and Club Med South Africa are giving you the chance to win an all-inclusive beach getaway for 2 worth 70,000 Rand. Are you ready to experience the ultimate escape with Club Med?
Tune in to 702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabocha, weekdays between 1 and 3 p.m. to find out how to enter Club Med South Africa Beach and Safari Resort on 702. T's and C's and more on primemeterplus.com.
EWN Traffic.
12 to 8, the CWN Traffic is brought to you by Persia. Pretty tough. Amo?
Well, Bongani, delays on the M1 South between the Baku Interchange and Marlborough Drive. Peak time delays there. And if you're traveling in Naturena, well, the good news is that that accident we spoke about earlier has been cleared, but traffic remains heavily backed up along the N1 North leaving the N12 exit. If you're traveling on the N3 North, do expect heavier traffic volumes. This is between the Yelands Interchange and Van Buren Road due to roadworks. I see also the M2 East is also heavily backed up as a result, so please be on the lookout there. City of Tshwane queuing traffic on the N1 South. This is due to an accident near John Forster Drive. Please be on the lookout there. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Persia Professional Pickup Range. It's built tough for South African conditions. Persia pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the agricultural heroes who keep this country moving. From load capacity to fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do. So whether you're building, delivering, or farming, Persia has a model that's ready for your job. Visit your nearest Persia dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Persia Professional. Landtrek, it's pretty but tough.
This is what home internet should feel like. Get the Vodacom 5G home router with 600 gigs and 30 megabits per second download speed for just $529 per month over 36 months. And that's not all. You'll also get a Xiaomi TV box 3rd gen with $1,399. Stream in 4K at no extra cost. Your home fully connected, fully entertained. Exclusive to Vodacom World. Visit us today and get connected. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
On the go and your stomach suddenly not keeping up? That burn, bloating, or reflux could be symptoms of an ulcer. Stress can make it feel even worse. Ulcinic offers triple action relief by coating your stomach lining with a protective layer that works up to 6 hours, and no prescription is needed. You can choose between suspension or effervescent tablets, and you can keep an eye on the shelf for Ulcinic's new packaging. They've got a fresh new look outside, but it's the same trusted relief on the inside. Visit the Ulcinic Facebook page for more.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Artsurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is 1982. Denny, what's the question?
Hello, Bongani. The question is, in which year did John Jett record the name of the song I Love Rock and Roll?
Yes, indeed. That was the year that song was recorded. I Love Rock and Roll. On this day in 1982, Joan Jett and the Black Hearts hit #1 in the US with the song. Denny, congratulations. 2,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to 702 and Outsurance.
Yeah, me. And I could tell it wouldn't be long. They was with me. Yeah, me. Singing, I love rock and roll. Sweet like time in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. Slow take time and dance with me.
With Outsurance, I'm saving a whole 729 Rand.
Another satisfied Outsurance client saving more money every month. 32-year-old Perushka saves 729 Rand a month on her 2020 Haval H2. And after 3 claim-free years, she gets an out bonus.
Yes, I'm ready for that out bonus.
How much money could Outsurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Reliable water services depend on a sustainable system. When residents pay for municipal services, it enables Johannesburg Water to maintain infrastructure, repair leaks, upgrade networks, and continue delivering essential water and sanitation services to the city. Revenue collected from services is reinvested into operating and strengthening the water system for everyone. By paying for services, residents play an important role in supporting the sustainability of Johannesburg's water supply. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
Without insurance, saving on your car insurance feels like finding that last parking spot at the mall. 45-year-old Jason saves an unbelievable 520 Rand on his 2025 Hyundai i10. Get a quote now, and if insurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Let's catch up now with the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Belle.
Who would have thought that the Lion King would stir so much controversy?
Yo. This clip has gone viral, and people have taken the clip as well, and have turned it into their own content as well with their own videos. So, for context, what it is, it's this podcast called The 145. And it's these two hosts, and they had a comedian on there called Learn More Jonasi. And on this podcast, they were talking about the Lion King movie. And, there's the new movie and the movie with Mufasa and Scar and their origins, etc., etc. And they were talking about the accents of some of the characters, being set in Africa, and the accents are American accents. And then they got onto the song. Right? And I mean, if you think about it, this is probably one of the most beautiful openings of a song, and it hits you in the feels. It gives you the goosies. And the two hosts were like, well, what does it mean? What does it mean? So Learn More Jonasi gives them this explanation. Let's take a listen.
I can do it.
Do it.
So you sing it like,
You were way off.
All right.
Yeah, what does it mean?
It means, look, there's a lion. Oh my God.
You're joking. That is not what that means. That is not what that means.
That's exactly what it means.
That's what it means. Look, there's a lion.
Oh
my God.
It's a
Look, there's a lion. Oh my God.
It's a lion.
All right, so that was the podcast conversation. Now what's happened since, Kabazela?
So now, since that has happened, Lebo M reached out to Learn More, and he was basically saying that you were wrong with the translation. This is a very, very sacred song within poetry, in the Zulu culture, and also praise poetry and symbolism. And they try to sort it out, but basically there was a scuffle at the end, and Lebo M is now suing this guy for millions and millions of dollars. I think it's about $20 million.
No, I've got it right in front of me. $27 million.
$27 million.
He says this comedian trivialized his work and its cultural significance. He's suing him for defamation. He's saying that these statements harm his reputation, trade libel for damaging the value of his creative work. But most interestingly, he says it's a false representation. I mean, let's put it out to 702 landers.
Yeah.
What do they think that line means? I fully agree with him.
Yeah, so I was talking to somebody,
but I don't have $27 million.
Well, so you agree with who?
With the podcast host.
With Love More, the
right.
comedian, comedian. So this is an interesting one, because I wanted to make sure that Love More, I mean, he's Zimbabwean, and I wanted to make sure that he had the correct translation of the lyrics. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit tricky. And I mean, as a white person, I'm not going to explain it, but the translation is not 100% correct, as I understand it. There is a difference. So I think it's with the literal translation and a cultural significant meaning. So there's something there, but let's leave it to somebody else to explain.
Let's put it out there. We're going to play the original after 8 o'clock, and we'll let the listeners decide, does Lebo M have a point here? $27 million. or is it in fact it's learn more? Kabazela, it's not love more, it's learn more.
Is it learn more?
His
Okay.
name is Learn More, you see.
So
do you have $27 million, I wonder? Let's put it out
just one
there.
quick one before I go. So he's Lebo M spokesperson has said, this is not merely a legal matter, it is a cultural correction. Nance in Gonyama is not a punchline or a casual reference point for exploitation. It is a sacred loyal praise chant rooted in African identity, spirituality, and storytelling.
Give me a bucket.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now. Amo?
Thanks, Bongani. We've got delays on the N1 South approaching the John Foster Drive exit. This is due to a major accident scene. Please be on the lookout there. I'll have more details coming up shortly. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
702.
702.
Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Baphelile?
Good morning, Bongani.
Nansi ngonyama bakithi.
You know what? I agree with Lebo. The way he said it, it just made it feel like it's not that important.
He's a comedian.
I get it. But like for us, it means something.
What does it mean to you?
It's like pride. It's pride.
So for 27 million.
Yeah, no, I support him. I support Lebo. Anyway, Bongani, our morning question about bad news and how we like to receive it. 702 lenders are flexing their coffee muscles. Most preferred bitter and straight like an espresso, though we did have a hazelnut latte mix there. Some, they like it as strong as an Americano, intense, no nonsense, and others they preferred as a macchiato, just a hint of softness to make it slightly easier to swallow.
I wonder if some listeners are just calling us.
Yes.
Just to tell us they know
exactly
what a macchiato is. It's 8 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The Madlanga Commission pulls Tshwane into the spotlight, and it's not a good one. And Treasury makes a plan to get metros to spend money properly. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Evidence before the Madlanga Commission has shown that Tshwane's embattled Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi may have directly assisted his friend in scoring a multi-million rand tender. Mnisi has featured prominently in the testimony of Gauteng Cop Sergeant Kenneth Nkosi. In evidence led by the Commission, it shows that the pair frequently interacted over a tender Nkosi's brother had applied for. Tabiso Koba reports.
The Madlanga Commission has established that Tshwane CFO Gareth Mnisi and Sergeant Kenneth Nkosi are friends. Nkosi took Mnisi to his first shooting range practice. They sometimes travel together and share an interest in motorbikes and cars. However, their relationship also goes beyond that. As Nkosi admitted to the Madlanga Commission, he has lobbied Mnisi to, quote, open doors for his brother.
I've raised it with him that my brother is busy applying in different jobs there by Tshwane and is not getting any. Then he said, no, maybe something is not okay. Can you please send his vendor number so that I must check what is it?
Evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson says the two colluded to have a company belonging to Nkosi's brother awarded a tender it didn't qualify for. Further details on the tender are expected when the commission resumes today. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
A man in Mpumalanga who attempted to rob a cash-in-transit van has been slapped with a 20-year prison sentence. Tabiso Mavundla shot and killed the driver of the vehicle and fled the scene in Skumanstal in 2022. Mavundla was arrested days later when police caught him transporting 5 AK-47 rifles with ammunition. He was convicted for being in possession of illegal weapons, attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Hawk spokesperson Christopher Singo.
The firearms was then taken for ballistic for further investigation and then later linked the accused with the attempted heist that took place on 18 March 2022. The accused appeared in court on several occasions, culminating in his recent conviction.
National Treasury says many metro municipalities are underspending money and in turn denying residents service delivery. Treasury says it's now launched an incentive-based grant for government spending capped at 54 billion rand over 6 years. This lifeline also works on a performance review system where funds will be released to meet specific performance targets. Treasury's Director General Duncan Peterse says when funds are not used, they are reallocated to other municipalities or the money is sent back to the revenue fund.
While it contributes to the overall health of the National Revenue Fund when funds are returned, the ultimate objective of those funds is to improve service delivery in those areas, and we would much rather those funds be spent there.
And in the US, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that Washington might lift sanctions on Iranian oil that is already being shipped as energy prices soar due to the war in the Middle East. The deliberation comes as Washington scrambles to ease high energy costs that have been filtering down to US consumers, although a Trump administration official added that oil and gas export restrictions are not under consideration. Analysts warn that easing sanctions risks benefiting Tehran, the target of US-Israeli attacks, but some see the move as a way to bring partners into a coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Energy prices have spiked since US-Israeli strikes on Iran on February 28 triggered Tehran's retaliation that brought commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz to a virtual halt. Bessent spoke to Fox News Business about the American government response.
But we are intervening in markets by creating this excess supply with oil that's on the water. So in essence, by the time we unsanction the floating Iranian oil, we would have intervened and we would have created about 260 million excess barrels of energy.
Gold is trading at $4,698.05 an ounce. The rand is at 16.79 to the dollar, 22.50 to the pound, 19.40 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $107.28 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 South. This is between the Flying Saucer interchange and John Forster Drive due to a major accident seen there. Please be on the lookout. You can try to use the N14 South if you're heading towards areas like Midrand as well as Royhisgrove.
And in your sport, the third T20 between the Proteas and New Zealand will see the Black Caps having a ball first, while earlier today, the Proteas women went down by 6 wickets in the third T20 of their series against the White Ferns. Premier League weekend kicks off this evening with Bournemouth set to host Man United, and we also have the United Rugby Championship weekend starting with the Bulls up against Cardiff.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 29 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Evidence before the Madlanga Commission has shown that Tshwane's embattled Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi may have directly assisted his friend in scoring a multi-million rand tender.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 8 o'clock, listening to 702 Breakfast on this Friday. The spotlight very much now turning to the municipalities as far as the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, and one of the issues that has already arisen is around tenders being manipulated for the benefit of the connected. That is certainly what we can expect to hear more about today at the Commission of Inquiry. This, of course, following the wrap-up of the ad hoc committee into its investigations as to what has happened there. Kabazela, in the viral content, a podcast, comedian, and let me underscore, he is a comedian. He explains the meaning of the opening of the Circle of Life song by Lebo M in The Lion King, right? He gives an explanation about what this particular line means. In case you've never heard it, in case you've been off the planet for the last, 30 years, it's this one. Now, the controversy is extraordinary. Lebo M, who wrote that song, is suing one Learn More Jonasi, who is a comedian who appeared on a podcast and gave this explanation. It's called 154 Africa, the podcast, by the way. Gave this explanation for what you've heard there and what it means.
I can do it.
Do it.
So
Ready?
you sing it like Nanzingonya Magiti Baba.
You were way off.
Ingonyama.
All right. Yeah, what does it mean?
It means, look, there's a lion. Oh my God.
Now, there are obvious cultural, significant, metaphoric points to be made about what that means, right? The idea of a king or a majesty being represented by the lion is not even unique to Africa. Think of the Lion of Judah, for example, right? So, yes, there are all kinds of explanations you can give, but in the literal sense, it means there is the lion. Lebo M says, no, this is torturous interference with prospective economic advantages and will harm his business prospects, this interpretation. So now Learn More must give him $27 million. He's suing the guy. Is it me, Muteo? Am I the drama?
Bongani, creatives and their work. The sensitivities around that. I'm telling you now, creatives and their work, you touch them on their studio.
Do you remember the scene in Modern Family where Cam is holding a baby?
Yes.
And walks in and says, no! Why didn't he sue Modern Family? Is it me? Am I the drama? Babalo, you're in Springs. You agree with Lebo M? Learn More got it wrong.
Yes, completely. Learn More mostly translated the text of what was sung, but he left the context. That's praise poetry. So along with the context, it evokes a lot of emotions and cultural significance, of course, but it means something completely different to what he said.
Where's he wrong? Where is he? I mean, and I'm not taking away from the wider context, please understand me, but in terms of the literal explanation of that line, where is he wrong?
I'm not going to base my answer on the literal sense, but it's the manner in which he dilutes the meaning of what is meant by the phrase. When you simply say, look, a lion, oh my God, even though maybe he comes from an angle where he's comical, but there is an element where he dilutes the essence of what is meant there. Number one, the character to which the song is dedicated to in the opening is a lion whom is a king. So it is befitting to mirror what happens in Zulu culture here, where Imbube, the royal majesty, is pictured in Simba's character in this instance. So it loses that majestic aura when he says, look, a lion, oh my God, as if that's all the beginning and the end of it all.
All right,
that's what
I don't think Learn More argues that's the definitive explanation, but he says in the literal sense, that's what it means. Nandi, you're in Midrand. You agree with Babalo. This is just disrespectful, you say.
Yes. Hi, Bongani. Speaking to Nandi in Midrand. The guy is making a mockery of this praise song. He is just, I understand Lebo's stance. It might be the literal translation, but then it's just got more meaning. It is supposed to land in a particular way. This reminds me of this one time I was watching. There was something taking place in the UK. Queen consort Camilla laughing at these African dancers, literally, such things, man, Bongani. I feel it was a bit sensitive, and considering the fact that the guy is African, it's just not nice. I just hate it. It's just annoying. As I was listening to you, my head sank, and I just hate it, Nje. I'm just being very shallow about it. My explanation, but it's silly. I think it's silly.
All right, Andy, in Midrand, touched in her studio. It is, by the way, an original song about a cartoon character. It's a lion. This is not a song about Ushaga. It's about Simba, a fictional cartoon. Upopai.
Yeah, a production you didn't create.
But what does it represent also? What does Usimba represent in the greater circle of life?
A cartoon character in a fictional movie. Dumisani, why am I wrong?
Just imagine that cartoon character. Is he coming as a lion or is he coming as a king? Because the way I interpret it, Nansi Ngonyama, here comes His Highness, and the audience, then they agree, Your Highness. Because now, if you say, here comes the lion, hey, here comes the lion, as if a lion coming out of the
You're saying to me, we can't make jokes about Simba, the lion, in the Lion King movie.
Listen what I'm saying. I'm saying
yes?
The way...
the line... there we go. Just repeat that. We lost you for a second, Dumisani.
What I'm saying is that the way that song is created is to interpret the highness of the lion as the king.
I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. But it is also a cartoon character. The song was about...
as a king, not a cartoon character as a lion. So the interpretation is...
All right, Dumisani, our line there just not helping us. I don't understand it. So when Pumbaa and Timon are singing Hakuna Matata, our speakers of Swahili now going to be Haini, hai. Amo?
Yeah, it's a very tough one, hey.
It's a cartoon.
I know it's a cartoon, but you know what? And also, I was just telling Muteo now that it's how you take it, right? Because at the end of the day, the direct translation is exactly that. There is a lion, right? But then again, how most people can take it is like, oh my God, all along I've been thinking Nansi Ngonyama means something greater than something that has ever existed.
Metaphorically, it
right?
can.
But then now I just learned that, it's just a lion.
No, it can mean that. If you're using it in reference to a king, of course it can mean that.
And that's why I say it's how you take it.
Here comes the majesty.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's how you take it.
Anna, you're in Bedford View. Do you agree? This is about a cartoon. How am I wrong? Anna, are you there?
Hello. Hi. Bongani,
Teach
you know
me,
what?
School me, Anna.
No, you know what? My stance is just totally different because, guys, really, honestly, we just need to realize, sometimes we just need to sit down, look at the entire picture. Who is saying this? On what platform are they saying it? And why they are saying it? Honestly, we are just living in a society where everyone is just overly sensitive about a lot of things.
Go Popeye, Anna.
And go Popeye, guys.
Aye.
No, but I do understand Lebo M's artistry and trying to defend your artistry. But the obvious, especially as a person who understands the entertainment industry and who's from the entertainment industry, you pick up the phone and you do a voice note or a video. All you got to do is just say, oh my gosh, I'm laughing at this comedian. This is so funny, guys. I see this is trending about my song, but let me give you the real explanation or the real meaning. Done.
Finish and cloud. You know what, though,
Anna? Doesn't
Anna?
need to go to lawsuits.
You know where Lebo M has a point? What he really ought to learn more for is singing off key.
Done.
Thank you,
Drops
Anna,
mic.
in Bedford.
Thanks, Bongani.
Good morning, Bongani. I really think people are just overreacting about this Lion King issue. Because, in all honesty, the guy was just merely just trying to explain the literal meaning. That's it. People are just too sensitive. Like, yeah, people just need to really calm down.
Yeah. What is your take? Send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072 702 1702.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. Amo?
Well, traveling on the N1 South in the city of Tshwane, Bongani, we still have got queuing traffic between the Flying Saucer Interchange and John Foster Drive. That's due to a major accident scene. There's also queuing traffic reported on the R21 South in the Kempton Park area. Another accident causing delays right near Atlas Road. Please be on the lookout there. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
19 after 8. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? What truly lifts your spirit and makes you feel alive? Today is also International Day of Happiness, and it's a global celebration mandated by the United Nations to remind us of the importance of happiness in our lives. Professor Talita Grayling is the director of the Center for Wellbeing, AI and Social Impact at Wits University, University of Johannesburg. I beg your pardon. I don't want to make you unhappy, Prof.
No, but I'm glad you caught that one quickly.
Yes, no, don't want to make you unhappy. I suppose, firstly, what is happiness? We all think we know, but what is it really?
Well, that is a really, really interesting question. And from the point of view of a happiness economist or a well-being economist, you realize this is not about emotional happiness, so a big smile or laughter. It's not only about it, but actually more about how do you evaluate your life. So a question of how satisfied are you with your life in general, which actually gives us a measure of how do you experience life, and which is much fuller than just being positively emotionally, but it's about your standard of living. What do you think about it? That's a perception.
And of course, we've had the happiness index come out, and regularly many of the Nordic countries rate very highly. I want to understand from sort of the more technical point of view, how happy are South Africans?
Well, if you look at, and this question, let me just rephrase, it's not about happy and emotional happiness, but about how satisfied are they with their life in general, which very often reflects on the economic side. And if we look at that, we actually dropped globally in our rankings from number 95 to number 101, which means the situation is looking more glim than it did a year ago. And most countries actually improved in their ranking. So South Africa is one of those that didn't improve, and also it went down in rankings considering only Africa.
I mean, if anything, because we are the world's most unequal society, even that low ranking you've just described isn't necessarily the worst thing, right?
Well, the low ranking, I think one should be concerned because that's the perception of people staying in South Africa, is that the quality of life is actually deteriorating.
Sure. I simply mean, Prof, in terms of what people feel about their life is perhaps even more positive than the reality, because we are, in terms of the actual data, the world's most unequal society.
It might be, but also on that point, if you look at the positive emotions, so the feeling people have inside of them, feeling good about life, then it is unrealistically high if you consider what they feel about their life evaluation and quality of life, which to me always say South African people has this life jubilance, what I can call, or they can suffer through tough times but still be emotionally strong.
I think we're agreed there. So how do we boost our happiness? And again, being clear that we mean in a technical sense as you've described it.
Well, in that, if we consider the other measures that's in the happiness report, and we look at those ones, we really perform on the worst. We're in the bottom third globally. Then it is, the one is health, and we must say this is healthy life expectancy. So that's reasonably low compared to the rest of the world. And the other one is the perceptions of corruption. So the question is, is the perception of corruption of your government, what do you think about it? So also on a level from 1 to 5. And that is also high. So that flows into your structures that you have in the economy, your institutions. So if we consider that, it seems that people in South Africa is worried about the structural side of the economy and the governance while still keeping very high spirits.
All right, Professor Talita Grayling from the University of Johannesburg there, the director of the Center for Wellbeing, AI and Social Impact. And if South Africans are unhappy, particularly when it comes to their lived experience in terms of delivery of services, this is an election year, my friends. It's an election year.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
Adam Gilchrist joins us now. Very good morning to you, Adam. Let's start with the latest from the Iran war. And I understand in one of the missile attacks, it was a near miss for one British reporter.
Yeah, this guy, Steve Sweeney, who works for RT, formerly known as Russia Today, which is very much a mouthpiece of the Russian government, but he was just doing a piece to camera describing various missile and drone attacks across the border into Lebanon. So Israeli attacks on Hezbollah targets is what we're told. So there he is standing with his cameraman, just doing a piece, just going through a list, and suddenly he pauses and then seemingly sort of ducks and lunges forward as something goes overhead and explodes, I guess about 10 meters away, 10 meters behind him. I mean, it was really close. And you see the dust cloud come up and cameraman then fall to the ground. So they were both slightly injured, had to go to hospital for cuts and bruises. There was a little bit of shrapnel damage to them both. But otherwise, an amazingly lucky escape, or I suppose also, given that they were very high profile, standing there with press on the vests, were they targeted in some way? That would be a worry, certainly. Although the Middle East has been a very bad place for journalists in the past 4 or 5 years. But whilst Steve Sweeney might have got a scoop in some ways, we also now see this whole thing about energy. We kind of wonder what the war's about, and more it feels like energy. So we have Donald Trump telling Israel off for attacking a gas field in Iran. We have Iran attacking a gas field in Qatar and then being told off by Donald Trump. Donald Trump saying they won't do that sort of thing. It appears that Benjamin Netanyahu has now rowed back from that and has agreed not to attack energy infrastructure, whilst at the same time there's this really hot rumor that a US amphibious force is lining up to take Karg Island. It's been moved specifically from Asia to the Middle East, to somewhere in the Gulf. Why would an amphibious task force be there? They're not big enough to take Iran. So the idea of this oil depot at Karg Island being again a target. Energy everywhere.
And you can beat us militarily, Adam, but not in baseball.
It's an extraordinary result, wasn't it? Yes, the World Baseball Classic. It's not necessarily a thing that's resonated hugely here in the UK or probably with you guys. After all, it's baseball, and we don't really do baseball, but it was a British team that didn't do terribly well in it. However, the winners this year are Venezuela. They beat Team USA, a star-studded Team USA team. The whole idea is it's a kind of World Cup of baseball, which America's always a bit uneasy, isn't it, about joining in other people's sports and having to take them on. So here was very much their sport, and they lost in the final. The thing is, it was kind of made out by the American baseball team and by American followers. as a kind of posturing. Our heroes out there in khaki are the men in uniform we're doing this for. The US baseball team was visited by a member of the Navy SEAL team that took out Osama bin Laden. They were wearing T-shirts with heroes emblazoned on them, saluting as they went round the bases in previous matches. All that kind of triumphalism and pro-America, America first, yay, we're great. It came to nothing, ultimately. It was sport that won because it seemed to me like a lot of the other teams just wanted to have a good time. And boy, did Venezuela have a good time. And especially, I mean, you just don't think of it. Venezuela beating America at baseball. Yeah, the world is a strange place.
Did they call Maduro's prison to get his reaction, I wonder? Let's have a green day off, says Gen Z, Adam.
Yeah, are we agreeing or are we not so sure? I suppose it depends how you define the green day off. The idea is this is to reconnect with nature for office workers who are fed up with being in the four walls or the four screens or whatever they're in. 2,000 office workers were polled on this in the UK. And in fact, this mirrors something that's already happening in some parts of America, well, certainly in New York, where some employers have decided, yeah, we want our workforce to reconnect. And so of the poll of 2,000 staff, a half of younger staff wanted a paid off day a month so they can reconnect with nature. Well, of course they do. I'd like a paid off day a month to go and reconnect with my tennis court. 88% of Gen Z office workers say working inside all day has a negative impact. And then you get the thirds. A third dislike commuting. A third hate the pressure of the office environment. A third more or less say they always end up doing too many hours in the office. I mean, I do get it. It feel horrendous to be trapped like that. But then it was ever thus. Isn't that the whole point, is that you do things before and after work and at the weekends? Far be it from me.
I want a couch day. Thank you very much. Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
The Momentum Group with some momentum. Mutero.
Yeah, the Momentum Group announced a 30% increase in its interim dividend for the half year to end December 2025. The insurance and investment group reported an increase in headline earnings of 8% to 3.5 billion rand for those 6 months. The firm's earnings and profits moved higher over the period, backed by solid underwriting, favorable market conditions and a strong client retention. Speaking to Stephen Grootes on The Money Show, CEO Jeanette Marais says Momentum Health will be taking over the administration of Bonita's medical fund from the 1st of June. This marks the biggest transfer of a medical scheme from one administrator to another in South Africa after Momentum won the tender to administer Bonitas in February.
Your indicators?
Well, Asia-Pacific markets traded mixed this morning as the tit-for-tat oil and gas infrastructure attacks sent energy prices soaring, and we're seeing a lot of pressure on the rand. Currently, 16 rand 76 against the US dollar. It's weaker this morning, 19 rand 37 against the euro and 22 rand 49 cents against the British pound. Price of gold staying low at $4,687 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,999 an ounce, while Brent crude is at $106 a barrel. Stephen Grootes to wrap up the week in business later this afternoon.
Let's start with this awful story out of Cape Town. Sfiso Zulu.
That's right, Bongani. A family of murdered teenager Lita Govuza say he was dedicated to his church and studies. Govuza and a friend were shot by alleged extortionists in front of a spaza shop in the area while waiting for their orders. Police say they are following up on new leads after releasing images of a person of interest linked to the case. Ntutu Zelonene visited the family.
Lita Govuza's family says the 19-year-old had planned to further his studies at university before his death. His sister Kanya Govuza says he was also due to celebrate his 20th birthday next month. She says the family is struggling to come to terms with the loss.
We would love to hear from the police who killed him, why they killed him,
We have so many unanswered questions.
The family is calling for a speedy and thorough investigation into Lita's murder. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
Saying in the Western Cape, livestock movement in and around Cape Town is under increased scrutiny as authorities clamp down on the spread of the foot and mouth disease. Law enforcement agencies are on duty at different checkpoints. The city says close to 2,600 animals have been vaccinated for the disease since February. The city's JP Smith says officers are stopping and inspecting livestock transported in and around the metro.
Our staff have also been trained to conduct inspections of animals in transit and how to identify possible signs of infection.
He says these inspections are critical to protecting farmers' livelihoods, animal health and food security.
We're also using the opportunity to build relationships with informal farmers. The current outbreak is a major challenge, but the sector is also a key role player in the city's broader efforts to achieve improved animal welfare and public safety.
In the northwest, the provincial government says it has received a second consignment of 50,000 vaccines for its foot and mouth disease vaccination campaign. More than 111,000 livestock in the province have been vaccinated. The Agriculture Department says its vaccination campaign was accelerated by the first batch of the doses received from Turkey. The department's Langa Majibi.
And vaccination of the current existing doses of vaccine is going to be finished by Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter Jung-ae have tried out the country's new battle tank in large-scale military drills. This is viewed as the latest sign that she is being prepared to be his heir. Photos released by state media show a chuffed-looking Kim sitting on top of the moving tank in his trademark leather jacket as the teenager's head popped out of a hatch during an exercise yesterday. The drills at the Pyongyang training base involved armored units firing anti-tank missiles, while rare subunits targeted simulated enemy drones and helicopters, clearing the way for infantry and tanks. The Kim family has ruled North Korea with an iron grip for decades and dominates daily life in the isolated country. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng, with showers expected today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 29.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in the city of Tshwane along the N1 South between the Flying Saucer interchange and John Forster Drive. There's also queuing traffic reported along the R21 South. This is in the Kempton Park area due to an earlier accident.
The top story this hour, the family of murdered Cape Town teenager Lita Kovuza say he was a dedicated child to his church and studies.
Hi, this is Teko Modise, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Be a winner who knows when it's time for a timeout and play responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Think fast. Fast downloads, fast streaming, fast wins. Because whether you're chasing high scores, deadlines, or the next episode, buffering is not part of the plan. And that's why your home needs the power of OpenServe Fiber. Fast, reliable Wi-Fi that keeps up with your life. And when you sign up before the end of March, you'll score a free Netflix voucher. Level up your home connection with OpenServe Fiber and feel the difference speed makes. Visit openserve.co.za today. T's and C's apply.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paint. Affordable. Lasting. Luxury.
702
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Uncle Bongs. Good morning, 702 family. And happy Friday. A quick one, this is Kolani from Soweto, Matembalo. Ingonyama, I know Ingonyama means the king. So Ingonyama is the king. The lion is considered to be the king of the jungle. So when you say Ingonyama, we mean the king, the higher one. So Nansi Ingonyama, here comes the king. That's my understanding for it. So yeah, $27 million. Wow.
Aibo, Bongani. No, I'm confused. Which culture is Lebu M talking about when he says that the song is a symbol of culturalism? I don't understand. And the literal meaning of Nansi Ngonyama, meaning meaning there's the lion. So I don't know. Does he have a point? No, he doesn't. We are cultural believers, but this thing that he's doing, I don't understand. I don't understand at all. Maybe he's just trying to fool the Americans, but he won't fool us, the South Africans. Nansi Ngonyama means there's the lion. Simple.
Leboem is quite right. There is meaning behind and deeper symbolism behind it. It's not a trivial matter. So don't just joke about it. Just hear him out. Unless it's personal against Leboem.
Bongani, it's not that deep. It was a joke. It was a literal translation of the lyrics. Lebo M should chill. It's comedy. Oh my God.
Hi, Bongani. I think Lebo M should chill on this one. He's coming with so much depth, got thought leadership on a Friday. I mean, it's okay. This is comedy. It doesn't warrant to $27 million. Who's gonna get that kind of money? Lebo M should chill. Even the king is not even upset by this. I mean, let him chill.
Bongani Kabazela, no, Lebo M is just being silly. That is just being silly. For lack of a better definition, it's being childish. All he could have done was just laugh it off and move on.
Hi, Bongani and listeners, but correct me if I'm wrong. This is Lee here from Centurion. Ingonyama is a lion, but Ingwenyama is a warrior or a lord. So I think the translation is even wrong in itself, and I completely understand where Lebu M is coming from. Lee Centurion.
Guys, this is an original song he wrote. For me, the arrogance of, I would understand, maybe. And that's a maybe. If this was a traditional song that goes back to the kings of old and the prophets of old, this is an original song. And Lebu M is telling us, even if you disagree with Learnmore's interpretation, even if you say Learnmore was wrong, Lebu M says his work is so sacred, it cannot be made fun of. Are you hearing his work, his original work, his song? He decides what its cultural significance, and it's so sacred, you cannot make fun of him. Onati, Quick Sticks, you're in
Quick Sticks.
You're in Kromval, right? What do you think?
Yes, I'm in Kromval. I think it's a bit of an overcomplication of a very simple thing. It's an interpretation of an art piece. It's like interpreting a song. I don't think there's any artist who's ever been sued for interpreting a song. This is a very new one for me. So I think a lawsuit for that much money is a touch too far. It's a very simple thing. There's the lion. Oh my God.
Do you remember?
Okay.
Do you remember Michael Jackson's Bad?
Yes.
There was a group called the Fat Boys, and they did a whole video, and instead of saying I'm bad, they were singing I'm fat, I'm fat. I mean, maybe they wouldn't do that today because the culture has shifted. But the point is, people 100%. Have been making fun of artists and their songs for a very long time.
100%.
The idea that, what's going to happen, Unat?
Yeah.
So many comedians are going to go after this song. You watch for the TikTok challenges, because is he going to sue everyone who ever makes fun of his songs? Unat, appreciate your call in Krunval.
EWN Sport.
Anthony, so many people upset over a song.
Yep.
Will they be upset over the Proteas?
Well, 50-50 at this point because the Proteas women unfortunately lost this morning. But the men are in action right now, batting first against New Zealand after they were sent into bat in the third T20.
Imagine if the Proteas sued every time somebody made fun of them.
Yeah, every time somebody choked on something. Yes, so in terms of the batting, we have seen... In terms of the batting, we've seen Vian Mulder dismissed for a duck. In the last few moments, Connor Esterhuizen and Tony De Zorzi have joined him back in the pavilion, each for 15 runs, which means the South Africans are 36 for the loss of 3, going at 6 runs to the over. That's in the 6th over. Still plenty of batting to come. The one change they did make from the side, which last Tuesday, is Luto Simpamla coming in for Oatmeal Bartman. Earlier this morning, like I mentioned, the Proteas women lost by 6 wickets against the White Ferns. They're now 2-1 down with 2 T20s left to play in the series. Live Golf South Africa round 2 will tee off at 10:05 this morning. That's with the South African team, the Southern Guards, top of the team charts with Bryson DeChambeau 1 clear of the field in the individual scorecard. Charles Schmoltzel struggled with the back injury and has explained how his preparation has changed because of that.
I normally get to the course about 2 hours before my tee time. I was here 4 hours before. I was in a jacuzzi, then I was in another sort of bath, had needles, and I had like a whole bunch of things going on this morning. And then the last resort, a couple of tablets. It's just amazing to me what an amazing crowd does, the hard lifts you, you know.
In the United Rugby Championship, we return with a full weekend schedule. It starts with the Bulls against Cardiff Rugby at 7 p.m. Then tomorrow, the Lions will be hosting Edinburgh. The Sharks up against Munster. The Stormers have to wait to play a Sunday against the Dragons. While also starting this evening is the Premier League weekend. Bournemouth hosting Man United. Michael Carrick expects the Red Devils to have a tough outing.
Yeah, difficult game. You know, we're obviously going down there. We've had a good run and the boys are in good shape. But you know, they're a really good team, well coached and really well coached and good energy, and so we know we'll be in for a game down there.
Kickoff is 10 p.m. Other selected weekend fixtures include Brighton hosting Liverpool, Tanweer's side Derby, and relegation 6-pointer between Nottingham Forest and Tottenham Hotspur. Sunday is the League Cup final as Man City are up against Arsenal for the title, while at the same time Mamelodi Sundowns have a second leg with a 3-0 lead to defend in the CAF Champions League against Stade Malien. And selected Betway Premiership fixtures, Kaizer Chiefs play Magezi, Orlando Pirates take on TS Galaxy, and the MotoGP is out in Brazil this weekend. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
8:45 on the nose. This EWN Traffic brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal, your baggage, it's all in. Book at flysaa.com. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we still have got delays, unfortunately, on the N1 South. That's in the city of Tshwane, just as you approach Linwood Road due to an accident. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic reported on the M1 South towards Corlett Drive, as well as on the R24 and the N12 West between the Kilulu's Interchange and Edenville Road. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. More updates right at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
On the 23rd of March, join Freedom Park and the National Heritage Council as they mark the Battle of Quito Quavale, a defining moment in the journey to freedom. Be part of a day of reflection featuring a public lecture, a wreath-laying ceremony, and messages of solidarity. Freedom Park, 23rd March 2026. Be there. Be part of the legacy.
Mzansi, forget the weather forecast. Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a staggering 155 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for 107 million rand and Powerball Plus for 48 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Zakes owns an electrical business that lit up the neighborhood. Literally. One small spark, one big legal nightmare. But he has public liability insurance from Budget. The damage was covered and his clients sorted. Sharp. To get public liability cover, visit budgetinsurance.co.za. Budget Insurance, official insurer for good South Africans. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Coming up on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Uncle Clement! You don't have 27 million.
Sued, please.
Here's the thing. I mean, it may feel like a frivolous thing, but let's just remember what the tenet of freedom of speech. At its core, it says, I may not like what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. The idea that he is a holy cow. Now, quite apart from the fact this is not a song from, the ancestors that has been passed down, he wrote it about a cartoon character.
Yeah. That's where we find ourselves.
What's on the show today, Clement?
Well, on the show today, we're going to...
Don't get sued now.
Oh, no, I don't want to. So we're just going to talk about... every time there's a witness at the Madlango Commission, I really get so angry. And I thought Shibiri got me angry. And I thought Sinona got me angry.
And then you remembered growing up in Mpumalanga.
No, and then...
driving past the Matthews Possum municipality.
Which doesn't exist. But I went past it. So I must say, this is one who really gets to me, Sergeant Nkosi, who tried all sorts of tricks not to appear at the commission. So... I'm going to bring in
What
Tabisa.
was that?
Huh?
What was that? Sorry, I don't understand. That's what he says all the
yes,
time.
he does. Oh, I don't remember. So we're going to bring in Thabiso Goba because there's some details we need to get to. I spoke to Michael Beaumont last night on the SABC, and they seem to be saying, these allegations against the CFO are politically convenient.
This is Action SA now.
I mean, Action SA must be thinking we're crazy. They have welcomed that their MMC has been placed on special leave. They have actually taken it further and suspended her as a member of the party pending the outcome of its investigation. And they want to come and say the CFO is politically motivated. Have they actually heard what Sergeant Nkosi said about the CFO? So it's really weird. So we're going to talk about that on the 702 open line. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to do the Across the Desk feature. Today I'm hosting company secretaries on Across the Desk. They'll tell us more about their work. And then 11 o'clock, we do our relationship feature. Today, we're discussing quiet quitting in relationships or marriages.
Quiet quitting.
Yeah, when you just...
quiet quitting.
Oh, quiet quitting.
Quiet.
Yeah. Quiet quitting.
Yeah.
Are you going to sue me for that as well?
Not quite.
Good one.
Between 9 and 12.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, it's Clinton Myers, the Minister of National Treasures.
Mr. Minister, how can Momentum Insure help you?
This economy is not helping with the cost of my gusheshe, my tires, man.
Just get Momentum Insure's safety returns and get up to 30% cash back, even if you claim.
Is it true?
Stru's Bob, Mr. Minister. Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
The Audi Open House sale event is now on. It's going on until the 30th of April. It's the biggest Audi sales event of the year. Why don't you get to your closest Audi dealership and you can test drive a wide range of Audi models. You can explore exclusive limited time offers and you can stand a chance to win an Audi Formula One experience. If you've been waiting for the right time to experience Audi, this is it. Visit audi.co.za for more or to book your test drive. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey guys, this is Robert Marawa, HollywoodBet's brand ambassador. Playing responsibly is part of the winning strategy. Make smart choices and continue to score. If you or someone that you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. HollywoodBet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
702.
This weekend.
What's happening this weekend? Well, it's the weekend, as we always focus on. The vibes are going global, though. Straight from Paris Fashion Week to the heart of Mzansi, Laduma Ngxokolo is back with the MXS Culture Festival 2026, and it's happening tomorrow at Toadbury Hall in the West Rand, and it's the 4th annual edition, celebrating Xhosa heritage, African culture, and, of course, cutting-edge fashion. Get ready for runway magic, live music, featuring the Maxhosa Africa Autumn Winter 2025 collection, Izipho Zabadala, gifts from the ancestors, where traditional Xhosa motifs meet modern style, and the stage will be stacked. You can expect performances from DJ Maporisa, Kabza De Small, DJ Tira, Fistas Mixwell, K-Mat, Tracy, Anati Sjava. To tell us more, we're joined by Maxhosa founder and creative director Laduma Ngxokolo. Always a pleasure to have you. I can't believe how quickly the time flies. This is the 4th MX Culture Festival.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Dinga. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. Literally, it is our 4th edition. Time has flown so much. The MXS Culture Festival was just an idea. Now it's a community annual event that people look forward to.
So what's changed in terms of its growth over the last 4 years?
It has become a little bit smooth over the past 4 years. Of course, as an organization, we don't specialize in events. So we partner with service providers to execute the festival. And what has changed over the past 4 years is that we offer hospitality packages where people can come as a group and they experience food. We have a fashion show that happens from 4 p.m. until 5 p.m. and we have 20 dancers that will be part of the fashion show. Point of correction, the name of the fashion show that we'll be showcasing, that we just recently showcased in Paris, is called See Culture. So yes. So we decided that, listen, for this season, we want to showcase South African culture and a little bit of African culture. So there's a mix of piano dance, there's bourgeois dance, there's multiple genres of dance that will be showcased by local designers from a Lokshini, So I think that's the part that I am looking forward to.
I mean, the connection, of course, between fashion and pop culture and, of course, music is an undeniable addictive mix, isn't it?
Of course, pop culture influences a lot of nuances that people ultimately see within fashion. Fashion has to be refreshed every season. A breath of fresh air has to be infused into fashion in order for people to look forward to new seasons. And South African creativity stands amongst the best when it comes to music, when it comes to dance. So with this theme of your collection, we take a little bit from other cultures and blend them in and ensure that we capture the true market that we've built over the years. A lot of people tend to make an assumption that our client base is made up of the Eastern Cape Xhosa people. I think that people haven't seen the amount of diversity of our clientele, So some of our clients request that we mix some of their cultures into the pieces that we create. We offer a bespoke service at our headquarters, So there's a few pieces that people have never seen before, or probably will never see, that we get commissioned.
Yeah.
The latest one was by Usjava. Usjava will be celebrating 10 years of his career, and he asked us to design Zulu regalia blended with Matosa. And we said, listen, we'd like to capture that moment in a film, so that moment is part of our new collection that we wanted to showcase and say that, listen, gone are the times that where there's concrete lines between cultures. Our cultures need to blend. It is all happening organically, but then we have to showcase it boldly, so those are some of the things that we have been showcasing as part of this collection.
Yeah. Is it coincidence, or were you deliberate in choosing Human Rights Day as the day for this celebration?
It is deliberate because in South Africa, human rights is something that is important, and celebrating our culture is a human right that is important and well within our constitution. We live in a privileged country. I think South Africa is the best country I've ever been to in my life. So I personally don't overlook the fact that our constitution protects us from celebrating our culture and expressing it, and we have the opportunity to industrialize our culture, commercialize our culture, and have the opportunity to go out to the world and sell it.
Indeed, that's exactly what you have done with your brand. Congratulations on the success so far, and good luck for the MXS Culture Festival in its 4th year, happening at Toadbury Hall in the West Rand. Tickets are available at www.maxhosa.africa, and of course there we're speaking to the founder and creative director, Laduma Ngokolo. That's what you can enjoy this weekend at Toadbury Hall in Krugersdorp. And that is it for this Friday edition of 702 Breakfast. We'll see you bright and early come Monday morning. You have yourselves a fantastic weekend. It's 9 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Evidence before the Madlanga Commission has shown that Tshwane's embattled Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi may have directly assisted his friend in scoring a multi-million rand tender. Mnisi has featured prominently in the testimony of Gauteng Cop Sergeant Kenneth Nkosi. In evidence led by the Commission, it shows that the pair frequently interacted over a tender Nkosi's brother had applied for. Tabiso Goba reports.